Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour we'll be talking to Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, a lawyer and Dagoretti South parliamentary aspirant. He's here to break down the hidden taxes Diasporans are paid through healthcare and education. He'll also talk about the politics of remittances and why diaspora must demand a real representation. Please drop a comment and tell us what city, state, or country you're tuned in from. And of course, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. And before we get started today, rest in peace, Aishata Shakur. This is a message that came from John Minor. John Minor is one of the people who made this interview possible. So asante sana, John Minor. A very sad day. Tupac Shakur's mother we just lost her. She just passed away. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Watu wa YouTube, please tell us if you're already tuned in. Tell us what's going on there. People on Facebook, talk to us, tell us where you're tuned in from and what's happening on your side of town. There's so much that we have to unpack, to uncover, to talk about today. I can see Tabitha and Jerry is already tuned in. It's going to be an exciting episode. Many questions people have to ask, so we'll try to find out what we're going to know and what we're going to know tonight. Now, because we have so much to cover today, I think we're going to get started right away because tonight we want to dive into matters far beyond speeches and photo ops. We know that the Kenyan diaspora sends about $5 billion every year to Kenya that fuels education, healthcare, and Kenya's foreign reserves. But when it comes to issues representation, accountability, and respect from our government, diaspora voices are too often sidelined. This past week, frustrations hit a boiling point in New York City, where diasporans waited for hours to meet President Ruto, only for the meeting to be abruptly cancelled. To add on to that, we have a collapsing healthcare system under the failed SHA reforms, an education curriculum draining parents' pockets, and looming proposals to tax diaspora remittances. So we want you to stay tuned to learn about all this tonight. But the big question tonight is, does diaspora really count for more than just money? And to help us dissect this tonight is Kenya-based lawyer Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. Now, Fanya Mambo is also an author and a court-accredited mediator. He's resolved countless disputes through mediation and has authored Kenya's only mediation training book. Fanya Mambo now wants to take the fight for justice and accountability to Parliament. He plans to dislodge John Kerry, aka KJ, from the Dagoretti South parliamentary seat in 2027, and he'll be telling us more about that later tonight. Some call him bold, others say he's daring, but his vision has been directly challenging the status quo. So ladies and gents, boys and girls, please drop your favorite emoji in the comment section and help me welcome all the way from some part of Kenya, the bold, the driven, the unapologetic, Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. Fanya Mambo, karibu sana to the OneMic Show. Can you hear us?
Yes, very good. Here it's morning. I actually feel like I have traveled back in time because here it's morning and it's Saturday. It's 3 a.m.
Okay.
And there I know it's Friday. It's 8 p.m. So I feel like I have traveled back in time. I feel like I have traveled back. It's a very interesting space to be in, and thank you very much for having me. It's an honor.
Okay, good.
The honor is ours.
Yes, and if you don't mind telling us, where in Kenya you sit. Are you currently in Dagoretti Constituency?
Oh, interesting. No, I had actually traveled. I'm in the county of Kisumu. You see, one of the things that we've been doing other than just doing TV shows is now we have decided to take civic education to the people themselves. So together with a few friends of mine, this was the second sitting. So we had a baraza kind of sitting where we meet with now young people and have a town hall meeting. And I remember a friend of mine called Jagero and a few others, we sat down, put together whatever little resources we could from our own pockets. Hatuna mdhamini sisi, and we decided, you know what, let's do this. So we have come to Kisumu. God has been faithful. We've been able to meet. We had a very successful town hall meeting with young people yesterday. We got to hear them, to hear what they want, because town halls are exceptional. they are different from rallies. Rallies, people just come and make noise at you. But town hall, we get to listen to you, we get to feel you, and we are praying to God that we shall take this to each and every county between now and the month of December. Just going and having a sit down with young people in a town hall and having that aired and having, pick from the people, listen to them, and then get to see where is best to take this country forward. So yes, that's why we're in Kisumu and we are happy to be here.
All right, amazing. And you talk about town halls, because town halls, they're very amazing, but out here in the diaspora, it's a whole different story. We're going to be talking about these political town halls that are brought by politicians in the diaspora that have not been working so well. We're also going to be talking about another one that was cancelled in New York City where the president was supposed to attend. So we'll be talking about that. And shout out to Jagero. He's been doing some amazing content. We saw your episode at Dialogues, because he has 2 pages. He has one that's called Political Headache, another one Dialogues with Jagero. So sometimes I mix them up. And I know there was an episode he shot in Kisumu. I haven't watched it yet, but he's also been hosting. There was another town hall that Jagero hosted in Nairobi that was super, super amazing. Like a couple of weeks ago, it was very high value. So shout out to him. And when you see him, tell him we want to talk to him on the OneMic Show, because there are so many questions that we also want to ask him. We know he interviews a lot of people, but we want him to put him on the other side because there are many questions we want to ask him. So asante sana for that. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We have Fanya Mambo, who's aspiring for parliament in Dagoretti Constituency, currently in Kisumu. Now, Fanya Mambo is Did your parents actually name you Fanya Mambo at birth, or is this just a political nom de guerre? A political nom de guerre. Those who know, they know.
Thank you very much for that question. It's a question I get all the time, and I usually answer people here in Kenya. I tell them, kulikuwa na salamu ya Gen Z. Ukiwa una doubt, unatuma 1 bob. Staki 2 bob, unatuma 1 bob. So if I have 1 million people just trying to confirm my name, you see that's 1 million bob. Anyway, yes, I was not born Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. This name came along the way. Yes, Kinuthia is my name. But, everybody say, do mtu anafanya mambo. He has a way, he has a habit of getting things done. And like all other nicknames, at first I said no, I didn't like the name. But then most people resist their nickname first, until it becomes a part of them and you can't run away from it, and you're like, you know what, paka unaanza kuitika. So along the way, I found that, by the way, this name defines me. It looks like me, it smells like me, it espouses my character, and I shouldn't be fighting it.
Okay.
And yes, before we knew, it was on my ID and on my passport and now on all my official documents.
Okay.
So I am Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, yes.
Okay, amazing, because like Fanya Mambo was that one of that popular song people who of a certain age remember by Kalamashaka, a video they shot in some European country. Very amazing rap song ya kitambo. So that's good. And the reason why I ask is because sometimes in politics we have, especially in Mount Kenya, there are these politicians, like who start labeling themselves, Wamatangi, Wamadwiti, Wamakeki. So we don't know, like that tends to happen a lot in
hating
in Mount Kenya. So we just wanted to know, and confirm. But very good to know that that's your real name and that it's on your ID and also on your passport.
So Ali, you're saying that he's called Fanya Mambo Esquire.
Well, that he's gonna confirm himself. But we also have Jekawere tuned in from Edmonton, Canada. Jekawere, karibu sana.
Oh, karibu.
Yes, and then Irandunda anasema jambo Irandunda
Yes.
anasema hii lazima greetings from Oslo, Norway. Fanya Mambo is good people so far. Lovely show. Ours ni mbaya, but we try when we can. So that's a good
Thanks,
thing.
Ira.
Yeah, thanks Ira for tuning in. And we will be talking about Norway and other parts of the world, and people who are tuned in from other parts of the world later on. And then up on Facebook, I can see people are still checking in. Please let us know where you're tuned in from. I can see Washeke Ndirangu is in the building. Washeke, you haven't told us where you are. So please, tafadhali, please let us know. Now, before we get started in policy and politics, Fanya Mambo. Now, this week, Diasporans were left waiting for hours for a promised meeting with President Ruto, only for it to be cancelled while people were in the hall waiting. People had traveled from as far as San Francisco and paid for hotels from Friday through Monday, which is a whole lot of money. And for many, it felt like a slap in the face. From your perspective, in Kisumu where you are today, what does this say about the state of diaspora engagement in Kenya today, as far as the politicians are concerned? Fanya Mambo, twende kazi.
I think what you saw happen was unfortunate with that cancellation. But you see, I have always told Kenyans that what you're dealing with is a symptom of a bigger problem. The bigger problem is bad leadership. You see, when you have bad leadership, you will come and talk of a badly organized event that did not meet the standards for security and everything, that had not gotten the authorities well informed beforehand, that had not been done to the extent that people are able to plan nicely for how many people, for example, what is the head count, where are they coming from, or what is expected in terms of catering and so on and so forth. So when you have bad leadership, you will talk about SHA, you will talk about education, you will talk, because every other thing they touch, they do it badly. So sometimes I keep telling Kenyans, we tend to think that the problem is SHA, but SHA is a symptom of bad leadership, for example. A meeting being cancelled last minute when people have traveled and gotten there and paid for tickets is a symptom of bad leadership. So basically what happens is when you have, for example, HIV in your body, you will always find yourself dealing with opportunistic infections. You have a cough here, you have diarrhea here, once in a while you have ammonia, anemia, you have all sorts of complications. But the main thing is your body has acquired immunodeficiency. So you're just dealing with very many opportunistic infections that come as a result of the main problem.
What?
And the main problem in your body is you have HIV. So with bad leadership, this is what is happening in this country. We have a situation where we have bad leadership, and bad leadership that is incapable of delivering on anything that they touch their hands. So what you will do is, in the process of trying to deal with bad leadership, you'll always find yourself encountering with one problem, then the next problem, the next problem, the next problem, and you know at the bottom and at the heart of it is that there's bad leadership here, and all these problems can be resolved if you remove the bad leadership.
Wow, so the problem is malignant. It's bad leadership, and from
Yes.
what I'm hearing you say is that it's a malignant tumor and it's difficult to cure it, despite the fact that we have 2 years to go. So we have to figure out what's going to happen. I actually want to take this opportunity also to introduce the panel that I have here in studio, and then so that they can give their take, because there are theories that are emerging on why that meeting did not happen. The first thing that I'm going to say is that it was being advertised secretly. This is the president. And typically when these people want the public to know, how they typically make a big splash everywhere. So this was being advertised secretly. Unfortunately, within those secret groups where this was being advertised, these leaks, they always get to our desk. I don't know how, but they always get to our desk. So their theory is circulating around, and the problem is the office of the president has so far not stated why they did not attend that meeting with Diasporans. I think the bare minimum, or if someone has seen one, please, I stand corrected, share it with us. Let us know what the office of the president said. You had promised Diasporans you're going to meet them, and then while they're in the bill, not even a day before, not even a couple of hours before, but while people are out there already seated, that's when people are being told that the president is not going to show up. People had traveled from as far as San Francisco, as far as, I think there's somewhere had traveled from Washington State, and they were staying in hotels from Friday in New York City. New York is not a very cheap city.
250, 300 per
yes,
night.
it's not very cheap, and it did not happen. No explanation. There are theories that are circulating around, but I'm gonna let DJ Omosh Fire first of all to let me know, like maybe what he's heard on the grapevine on why that meeting was cancelled, and just to salimia the audience and tell me what to expect tonight. DJ Omosh Fire, twende kazi.
Asante Bwana Ali. It's good to be back in the studio. Karibu to our show. Bwana Fanya Mambo, unafanya mambo hapo na kuona and Ali, you see, he's a polo guy. Si kama wewe na kuvaa hizo kinyasa za sijingi nene. But yeah. So, this thing of the president and his meeting or calling diaspora, Ali, you're right. This was extremely undercover, very, very unlike other times when he comes to the diaspora. And I don't know if it's because it was in New York, or you had to be in a club inside another club, or you needed to know other people who are different other than others, CLAW. But the usual suspects in the DMV area who normally make noise, even them, they were not making noise. Nikawa waliambiwa mkuje tu pole pole na musiseme. It's almost like that's what happened. And then somebody leaked it out. The information went out. And the people who should have been coming in to sing those praises of Ulalala seemingly would not have been there or were not there. And maybe that's why it might have been cancelled. But to be honest, to come to Unga and expect to meet diaspora is really asking for a lot. As a president, if you ask me. Yeah. Just looking from the outside, knowing that you only have X amount of time, you have all these delegates, people who you may want to, wheel and deal with and talk to directly.
Where was Jacob president?
I'm just saying, based upon their schedules. It's not about me being a president. So we just know how their schedules are tight.
Ngoja Omosha malize.
Karibu Mika. Yeah. So I'm just saying that even telling people that you're going to, and in fact telling people who was told, because Ali, did you know?
No, usually things get to my desk. And these secret groups where this was being organized, this happened also last year in Unga. Yes, because remember, after the Gen Z revolt,
yes,
the president was no longer popular.
Correct.
Yes, he was no longer popular. So this secret organization, it also happened last year. And unfortunately, these things always leak out.
It will.
Yes. Because because I think the goal was to choreograph, a group of cheerleaders who are going to be there. And part of the theory, and the reason why these theories are coming up, we don't like speaking theories, but when it has not been clarified why this did not happen, then people are left to speculate. One of the theories was, so there's typically people who RSVP, because they ask people to RSVP.
Yes.
So
blah, blah.
So there's a possibility they did not get to a desired threshold. So you're a president, and then you're going to a town hall, and then there's not enough people. Yeah. So it's not a good optic, and this is a very optic centric presidency. It's a very optic centric government. They like big crowds. They like people seeing them being cheered and stuff like that. So I think they could not establish that for sure. So they decided, we'd rather not get these pictures out, because now this is gonna dominate, the news headlines. The other theory that's also emerging is that there was a certain group, whom I cannot reveal, that was also planning to go to that meeting and inject. Okay. So, because remember, when Rigiji came here with his town halls, there were things that happened that they did not expect.
Both him and Matiang'i.
Yes, both him and Matiang'i. So I think it was to avoid. This again is a theory. If there was anyone who was in New York, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. You can comment on YouTube. You can comment on Facebook and let us know what happened. But let's hear from Mika. Mika, please.
Nimemsikia kuguruma hapo.
Yes, salimia wasikilizaji and let us know, what you've heard on the grapevine regarding why people or rather why this meeting in New York was cancelled, and also, of course, what you expect tonight from Fanya Mambo. Mika, twende kazi.
Hey, good evening. Happy Friday. Karibuni wapenzi wachangiaji. And thank you, Fanya Mambo, for joining us. For me, Ali, I don't think I've heard anything on the grapevine. What I would like to ask, because I have a question. I saw that snippet of people who had traveled to New York and they were left stranded. And I was wondering, did they cancel? Did they tell people they canceled, or was it a no-show? No, nothing.
So from what let me read the message that was sent out. It was a no-show because
It was a no-call, no-show.
it was a no-call, no-show because people were already there waiting. You know, maybe some with sisal cuts already waiting to dance, and then it was just announced during the meeting that he did not show up. And if there was anyone in New York, this is an event that we did not attend. I mean, of course, it was secret invites going round, so we were not there. But
Sasa mimi hapo kwa matheory, hapo kwa matheory, I wanna say this. As you've said, it's a government of optics. They usually like doing things with fanfare, things that make them look good. That is why kuna kwanga na kila siku watu wanaenda State House. It's usually about like, you know, the funny thing is like, even Uhuru, who was walikuwa namuita mlezi la nini, ulikuwa unaona akido infrastructure projects moja mbili tatu. I'm not trying to whitewash him. I'm just saying, with this government, apart from Talanta, kuna na affordable housing, which they try to talk about everything. Na hii kitu ingine tu ashai na kufa. There really isn't any infrastructure working that's going there. It's usually just putting out fires and trying to do, like wako on PR mode. Right? Nika content creators. Wako ile kupush tu, wana push kitu, wana push product, kule tu wana push. So I honestly feel like the quarter didn't get the quorum. They didn't get quorum, and they figured it's gonna look bad. It's gonna look bad, and they just cancel it. I assume labda huyu mzaya hakukuwa ameambiwa, ni handlers wake walipigia hesabu na akaamua kukata last minute, because if they let people travel, that means the organizers on the ground were sure that it's going to happen. So it was something that must have happened from his team or from him. But anyway,
this is what happened, Mika. This is the message that came from the planning committee, and Fanya Mambo, we are coming back to you shortly. But this is the message that came from the planning committee. It says this was dated September 19th. This was the Sunday when it was supposed to be there. This is the day of the meeting when people are already there. And this is not official communication from State House, or it's not official. It is from the planning committee. It's a WhatsApp forward that I got, because of course these things leak. It says, "Dear team, we regret to inform you that the planned town hall in New York City has been cancelled. Hosting a high-level event in New York City requires advanced planning, permits, security arrangements, and catering logistics. The city requires organizers to confirm expected attendance numbers, attendance numbers in advance for permits and insurance, arrange security and safety protocols with NYPD, finalize catering and venue logistics ahead of time. Unfortunately, because many did not participate in the internal RSVP poll and instead planned to just show up, as evident from members' messages, we were unable to provide the accurate headcount required to secure permits, organize security, and confirm catering. We value everyone's enthusiasm for supporting our country. For future events, we kindly ask all community members to participate in RSVP polls so that events can be delivered smoothly and safely. For more information, don't hesitate to reach out to committee leaders. Thank you for your understanding and continued support. Regards, Planning Committee." The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak.
Ali mimi naona ni kama hata State House wako wanajua hii kitu inaenda kukua.
So walikuwa surprised.
Si ati walikuwa surprised.
Ama hata hawakujua.
Hawakujua. Planning committee ni keli plan na hawakupata go ahead, na walikuwa wanajaribu tu kuenjoy watu mpaka last minute. Because that's a very, you know, this is the thing. that's a very when they say that we need numbers, confirmation of numbers. So basically, and then he went back and said to a poll of attendance. So basically shows they never even started working on anything, because they were doing a poll in that WhatsApp group for people to come in. And when the poll was low, it shows they didn't even kick it off from the ground. So I'm just saying it was just something they never really got to it. They were just hoping maybe last minute they will get numbers or they'll get whatever they need to do, and it didn't work out. I don't believe that. Me, I blame the planning committee.
Okay.
Yeah, I doubt State House even had an idea of what that thing was happening.
Okay,
But
sawa.
if that's so, then why was the ambassador there?
Yeah, so Balozi was there. But again, like this is all, because we're not there, this is all speculation about what we're thinking. And before we go back to Fanya Mambo to react to that, there was a comment here coming from Ann Karaoke. Ann Karaoke, karibu sana. Ann Karaoke from Philadelphia. And then Benito Soro. And some Benito in MD from Dagoretti Constituency. Benito, karibu sana. And then Mutslis Ndunge anasema good evening, greetings Ndunge in VA via Kangundo. Washeke Ndirangu anasema tuning in from Sao Tome and Principe. Alafu Ann Karaoke anasema in previous regimes the president met with Kenyans. Na Ana namwambia Fanya Mambo karibu sana tena. And then there's someone on YouTube anajiita Rusinga Island TV. Rusinga Island TV yuko ndani, karibu sana. And then Irandunda anasema niko na swali moja tu. Type up your question or call 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Back to you Fanya Mambo. Reaction on hii mambo ya this shenanigans ya New York City.
To me, I go back to my earlier position. UNGA is not an accident. And UNGA was not planned last night. UNGA to me is like an expectant mother. The minute you conceive, 9 months down the line. If you conceive in January, 9 months down the line, September kuna mtoto anakuja. So you have to start preparing. Where will I go to hospital? Will it be CS? Do I have some money? So UNGA was not planned last night. UNGA was planned a long time ago. Now, the president and his team were aware that there are Kenyans living in the US. And they were aware that when Kenyans live in the US, they have always wanted to meet their head of state, and this is not the first time. So to tell us they are not aware or they had not planned, to me, is utter nonsense. I wish they were saying the president had been invited for a state visit all of a sudden, and then he's discovered the need to put together some Kenyans quickly. So this is something, at Asai, I think they've, immediately after one UNGA, the planning committee has probably started preparing for the next UNGA. So I would not want to make any excuse for any failure for such a meeting to have happened. I think the handlers of the head of state from Kenya, the handlers of the head of state on that side, the Kenyan embassy in the United States of America has got a lot of questions to answer to Kenyans, because they would have wanted to meet their head of state. They would have wanted to have a conversation with him, and it is their right to do so. And this was one unique opportunity that was available to them, but that opportunity was blown up. So for me, and from where I sit, there is no excuse for not being able to meet Kenyans when you know that UNGA is not planned overnight. It's something that is planned over a very long period of time, and it's something that gives everybody from the embassy to Nairobi to every other place an opportunity to put together a town hall meeting and make it successful.
Okay, all right. Asante sana Fanya Mambo. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Controm Kenya hapa anasema sounds like planners used community park meetings. Wakashangaa kusikia wanahitaji permit. To make matters worse, all heads of states were in town with security on high alert in New York. Planners kienyeji. Balozi being there is a joke. Most of them are everywhere dancing to the tune on the ground. And then Ann Karaoke says there were discussions that 4 million had been put aside for this event. This again is all speculation, and I think when the office of the president releases a statement to say why they were not there, then maybe we might know exactly why this didn't happen. Now going back to New York, Fanya Mambo, Kenya is notoriously known for sending big delegations to New York for UNGA and for many other events. Many back home have decried the issue of travel expenditure by the government. And on a positive spin, and I know there's maybe not so much positive with this government, but on a positive spin, most average Kenyans maybe do not understand the purpose of these foreign trips, like to UNGA. What do Kenyans need to know about these trips, and maybe how are they supposed to be done right? Fanya Mambo.
We are far from doing them right. There is the official delegation that we got to see on our televisions. And then there is that unofficial delegation that Kenyans do not get to know about. And it's very simple. I just tell Kenyans to go online and check who are those Kenyans who have all of a sudden found themselves in the US. I know of the visiting delegation and the front they showed, the face they showed and said, I am in the US with the president for UNGA. But now the very many of them who are not telling you of the girlfriends they carried to the US, girlfriends, some of whose names I know, Saiwako US. And I can even tell you who they are because they are funny. They have already posted on their Facebook pages that they're in the US, but they're not posting themselves at UNGA.
Who are they?
And we know who those girlfriends are, and they are there, and some of them are there on taxpayers' money. So it's very expensive for us. You have no idea how many Kenyans are in the US because of this UNGA thing. And I can tell you for free, it is very expensive. How are they supposed to be done? I think this is a good opportunity to speak about the things that are important to Kenyans and for Kenyans. Unfortunately, what took the bulk of the head of state's speech was his conversation about Haiti and how our troops are dying in Haiti and what is going on in that country. And then we asked ourselves, honestly, you have this number of minutes to speak about what is important for your country and what your country can do, and you have taken the bulk of that time to speak about the problems of another country that Kenya does not even trade with. I think that was a very great low for us as a nation. I wish the head of state was having conversations about those things that would help the 53 to 55 million Kenyans who are here, as opposed to taking a lot of time to discuss troops that are less than 1,000 that we had not approved of as Kenyans, that some of us had even gone to court. I have a petition alongside with others. Some of us had even gone to court to stop the Haiti mission. They went ahead and forced it against a court order na wakawapeleka Haiti. Then now you're making it our problem and you're making it a global problem. We told you don't take them. We went to court, we wanted to stop it. They went ahead and they just thumped and said watatumana na wakatumana. And then now our people die and then you go and rant there about Haiti. Who told you to take our troops there? In fact, even Kenyans came up with court cases telling you, do not take our troops there. So I feel that UNGA for us as Kenyans was a lost opportunity to have conversations about very important things, because we ended up having conversations about the mistakes that Kenya made, the Kenyan government made by taking our young people to a country that we never needed to be in. So that is where for us we feel it was a deep, deep, deep low.
And toward that, there was this story that came out in this UNGA about one of the young men who had been deployed to serve, to protect, who allegedly died in March. And the family was finding out, because they'd been trying to inquire and, the body, what's going on, consulting lawyers, only for His Excellency to come out and say, and mention the name. So this family is finding out at UNGA that their person died. The military or the person, the presidential, the ministry in charge releases a statement without mentioning the name.
Yeah.
So he disappeared in March. There was an attack. He disappeared. Come to find out, he had died. But all of a sudden, these guys are not even giving out any communique at all. Murkomen the other day comes out and says that the information got to the family before they communicated it.
He said that
No,
officials had
he
already
said
been
that-
dispatched.
Yes, that one.
To inform the family, but there was a lapse in time synchronization.
We're talking about this is March.
But that's what Murkomen said.
Yeah, he
Nika.
said that the person who was sent to communicate to the family alichelewa, and so the president speaking about it in Unga said it assume the family has been told, but the person who had been told, who had been dispatched to go tell the family alichelewa. So kutoka March mpaka saa hii
The guy has been
jamaa
traveling.
bado anaenda pali anaenda kwa kineo family.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah, so this is
Wow.
what
Yes.
this is what's been happening. I mean, even if sometimes we are told that we are being negative, but seriously, the family is saying that they had it for the first time. You know, like when President
Yeah,
announced it
when he announced
at
it.
Unga, that is very distressing. Fanya Mambo, what's a typical protocol of such a situation? You know, like what's supposed to happen? There's a way in which it's done here in the US. Is there a system for doing this in Kenya when someone is serving combat abroad, of how death is communicated
Or
to
you
a
die
family?
on duty.
Okay, thank you. I think first and foremost, from March to September is a very long time. The state having not communicated to the family about the whereabouts of their kin. In fact, if anything, every time they went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or to his employers, they were told all sorts of stories that never made sense, only for them to get to hear from the head of state when he's addressing Unga that their son is no more. I think that for me was a terrible place to have been. The reason I say that is because the state is not discovering all of a sudden. And then you see, Murkomen comes and gives a very lame excuse. There was a time difference. Honestly, I know there's a time difference. Even right now as we speak, you people are a few hours behind me. But you're not 6 months behind us. You know, you're not 6 months behind us. 6 months for someone to have been dead, that's a decomposing, if not decomposed person completely and totally. Where are the remains? What have they been doing with his body, if they have it, for this period of time? And why is it being communicated to them now? And in fact, if anything, trust you me, if there was no Unga, they wouldn't have known. Why now the head of state is there is because some money had been promised that it would be released. I think it was about 5 billion Kenya shillings for them. It had been promised it would be released to the state to help them in the fight that is going on in Haiti. So they are there making a passionate position. Mpaka wanasema hata tumepoteza watu, mtu fulani amekufa, leteni pesa haraka, tuende tukaitumie. But tupatieni new vehicles. Why are we fighting a fight that is not ours? So many kilometers away. A nation that we do not share a border with, a nation that we do not trade in, a nation that we do not have Kenyans who are stuck in there. You know, so if Kenya was involved in a peacekeeping mission or in some activity that is meaningful in the US, I would understand, because there's a lot of Kenyans in the US. Kenyans have invested in the US. Kenyans have gotten to, you know, make money from the US and help in rebuilding this nation here. But Haiti, of all places, why are we there? Honestly, we have wasted a lot of taxpayers' money on a fight that we should not be part of.
All right. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We have Fanya Mambo all the way from Kenya. And here, Ann Karaoke is saying, regarding the discussion we had about the president, people are supposed to send questions in advance, and there was a link. Did the questions put them off? And then Ankarek is saying the 4 million that she alleges was offered for the event is not speculation. An organizer posted on Facebook. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Ankareki now further says the family of the fallen police officer were in court to seek information since bosses were mum every time they sought
Yes.
answers.
Yes.
So that's another very sad story. And I hope like all the people who are planning to run in 2027, whether for president, MP, or anything, I hope people are starting to, like draft solutions to a lot of these problems that we've been experiencing the past 3 years and that we're likely going to continue experiencing the next 2 years because Kenya is in a very tricky place right now, and we don't know what's going to happen in 2027. I want to remind the listeners that you are tuned into the OneMic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking to Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, a lawyer, mediator, author, and Dagoretti South parliamentary aspirant. He's here breaking down the frustrations of Kenyans from council meetings in New York to the questions of whether Diasporans actually truly count beyond just sending money. We'll shortly shift to the topic of healthcare and the SHA crisis, where, like Ombosh had a couple of questions. We'll unpack what NHIF and SHA really mean, why their collapse matters to diaspora Kenyans, and how a failing system turns into a hidden diaspora tax. So keep it locked for that and more.
Ali.
And please drop a comment below and let us know what you think. Also in the comment section below, type yes or no. Do you believe diasporans should have a direct say in shaping Kenya's healthcare policy? Please type yes or no and type what maybe the contribution should be. Our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Mika, you had a question before we go back to Fanya Mambo.
Yeah. Actually, mine was a question to Fanya Mambo. I wanted to derail us from the SHA conversation. Kidogo too.
Yes.
This is based on something that he said during his introduction, and it's a topic that I'm really hold close. I really hold close to my heart, na hii ni ikifika pale kwa mambo ya ground uko chini. That is me where I believe where politics is. Politics yuko juu. Fanya Mambo, I have this belief that I've been saying and I've been telling people that it's high time that these young people, the Gen Zs, for them to enact the change they need to enact. I don't believe they need to start a new party. I usually tell them, why don't you just register, join those party, and take them from inside? Like, go push, change those parties to what you want to do. So my question to you was, like, you mentioned town halls. You were holding a town hall. I just want to know, how is the reception of town halls back home, and how are people recepting to it, and how do you feel is the impact you're making, and how do you feel that we could be able to help grow these things and be able to continue doing that civic education? Because for me, I believe going back to the ground and teaching people the politics in politics is what's going to help us, not trying to tell people that vote for somebody and they don't even understand why they're voting for that person.
Thank you, Michael. Michael, Kwanzaa, I like the fact that you're Michael Ochieng. So we are in a region that I believe is a region you may have roots in. We're in Kisumu. When we were watching news and everything from Nairobi, it appeared conveniently as if the whole of this region is comfortably locked within ODM. So when we came for this meet the people, face the people, town hall meeting led by Jagero, who is also from this region. He's actually from somewhere within Nyakach. We found a serious revolt of young people who don't want anything to do with ODM, the party, who are saying that it's elitist, who are saying that they are not being given an opportunity to be heard, who said that nominations are not fair. You saw what happened in Kasipul, very violent nominations. And, you can see the party leaders have a party, they have a person they're interested in, they are pushing the agenda of that person. and so on and so forth. So they said that the only thing that that particular party, ODM, was devoid of was democracy. Now, if we had been sitting in Nairobi, we would have been saying, apana, watu wa Kisumu wote ama watu wa Nyakacha. And we had people from Homa Bay, we had people from Migori, having been invited to that town hall. We would have been saying that people from that region ordinarily are probably following Baba or following ODM. But the truth is there's a huge revolt. People are unhappy with how some of these parties are being run. And they're unhappy that very many popular candidates are not getting the ticket, and that the ticket is going to the people who have been decided by Baba or the senior people within the party. And so that has been the trend. But also, I was happy to come to Kisumu because every other person who you stood up to speak, very many of those people are very intelligent. You hear somebody saying, when I graduated in 2022, when I graduated in 1999, somebody had a master's in economics. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant people. And some of the responses they were giving were very deep. They were very well thought out. And we felt like, oh my goodness, we are losing so much as a country. We just wish the politicians knew how brilliant the people they lead are, and how much these people are suffering, and how much they want to play a part. As for the diaspora community, let me tell you something. You see, the problem we've had for a long time, and we had this deep conversation with Jagero and a few friends with whom we were planning this thing. People have turned you into cash cows. People see you and feel, tupangeni kitu alafu tuambie watu wa US na watu wa UK watutumie do tupange town hall. We sat at a table and said, wait a minute, what do we have? What can we put on the table? If you look at even the posters, hakuna jina ya kampuni or anything. We said, let's plan it over time. Let's put together resources. Let's try and put a town hall and tell people we are already doing this. It is better that way, so that if along the way someone feels I am.
All right. So Mika, I'm not sure if your question was answered, but on your question, the question of political parties, I have some mixed feelings about it. You know, like I was very happy with what the Gen Zs are doing, but I have some mixed feelings about it, and the reason is because political parties actually get a lot of money, and which is taxpayers' money. A lot of people actually don't know. People think, you know, like the figures they see on TV are the ones who are funding the parties. Political parties, there's actually, I think, about, if I'm not mistaken, around 1.5 billion shillings that's set aside every year based on how many seats in Parliament, Senate, and Civic seats that you won. There's a certain formula for distributing this money. So there's a lot of taxpayer money that goes in there. So it is my opinion, because there's taxpayers' money going in there, that I think it is important for some oversight to go, because whether we like it or not, whether what they're doing is what we like or not, they're still feasting on taxpayers' money. So I think it's important for the people who choose to take that direction of I'm going to be in a political party, for there to be space and not to be these purity tests that are being done. You're either in or you're out. And actually, Ira here has a very interesting question that she was actually asking. So Dagoretti aspirants, so question alikuwa anauliza ODM, Jubilee, even UDA, watu wengi wamesema wamechoka na the same old stories. So for Dagoretti aspirants, the real question is, will you stand with the integrity block, or will you stand with Wiper, Karua's Wiper or Karua's na Kenya? Na Kenya I don't think exists anymore. Karua's a new outfit. Safina or DCP? So this is, like another question that's coming out to you, Fanya Mambo.
Thank you very much. To be honest, initially, Fanya Mambo had wanted to bring himself out as a person who can be voted out, who can be voted in as an independent candidate. And I went and sold myself to the people of Dagoretti South, which is where I live, it's where I work. I mean, I interact with my people every day. I tell people my kinyozi is there, my mechanic is... Mimi, there are people who talk about ingia ground and I laugh at them. I tell them, Mimi naishi ground. everything of mine iko ground. It's called Dagoretti South. In fact, even when I want to just repair anything, I just niko huko. I live there. So for me, it's very easy. The party, yes. Now in those interactions, mi nilikuwa naenda matanga, naenda all sorts of things that are happening in my constituency. Naambia watu nitakuja munichague mimi kama Fanya Mambo, wananiangalia wanaanza kucheka. Naambia why are you laughing? Then they would sniff at me. I tell them, what are you smelling? Wananiambia wewe hujanuka wa Munyoro bado. I'm like, what do you mean sinuki wa Munyoro? Wananiambia uende urudi ukinuka wa Munyoro and then we shall vote for you. So I told them, look here, I have spent half an hour trying to tell you what I will do for Dagoretti and what Dagoretti is going to look like and the ideas that I have for Dagoretti. And you have dismissed all that in telling me, hata tumeangalia Facebook yako hatujaona umesalimia Rigiji. Huku tutavote ile kitu itakuja kama imevaa colors za DCP. Hata they told me even if a monkey comes in DCP, that's what they will vote for. I realized I had not done enough civic education and I went back and I tried to do it. They told me, ukishamaliza hizo vitu unatuambia tunajua. Urudi hapa ukinuka wa Munyoro. And I remember one time when I was seen online having shaken Rigiji's hand, my ratings in Dagoretti doubled, actually if not tripled. So the problem sometimes is not what we want or what we think or the ideals we have. It is the voter who carries the vote in the pocket and tells you, I am your boss, and I'm about to use this weapon called a ballot for you or against you. So if they tell you here, if you are vying here, we shall give you a vote under these conditions. And one of the conditions they've given to me is that I need to come on a DCP ticket. Then I have had to oblige because I love my people and because I listen to my people. So yes, for now, I have to vie on DCP. I wish it was different. I was actually very close, and I still am very close to Mother Karua and PLP. Even to the point of its launch, I was invited. I would probably have been one of the officials of PLP. But the people of Dagoretti South have these fantastic ideas about DCP. And so I have had to listen to that. You'd be a stupid leader not to listen to your people. And hata huko mbele wanaweza enda wa change. By the Kenyans are very interesting. They can decide waniambie sasa ni Jubilee ndio mzuri. Ama waniambie sasa tunataka utoke DCP uende Wiper. I will follow the will of the people who carry the votes in their pocket because I want to go in and serve them and show them from inside that we can clean politics from the inside. Thank you.
Okay, asante sana.
Let me chime in. I think I wanted to wait for the conversation to proceed, but I think with Mika asking that question, there's this gentleman, this young man who had captivated social media for a while. Nganga Muigai.
Okay.
And his assertion was, I think what Kenyans need to do, they need to learn the Constitution, Katiba, in English and in Swahili.
Okay.
And the main purpose is to understand the power that you as a voter have. And, to buttress what, Fanya Mambo was saying, talking about how, when he's saying, well, whenever you finish everything and anything that you do, you ukisalimia we smell that you have said Rigiji, then we'll give you something. And, having a handshake, those people not knowing that the power vested in them is so huge that if anything, what they say goes.
Correct. They're your employer.
And he brought about, and I think that is part of that civic education, where teaching of the netizens, the Wanjikos, the Atianos, just learning the Constitution, just understanding how it works, just learning it. Because he was on this show and he was breaking it down. He's like, there are these many things, understand that. Understanding very simple things about consolidated fund. Just understanding just the basic, how monies, how the government works, who has what, MP, the CDF, and how it's disbursed and whatnot, who has the power. Because I think if we go back to the root and just understand that, yani unaenda to mizizi huko, and then understand how it works, what is being said, and the power that you have, these other guys are going to really adjust. Because I think, and he was saying this, that this is the last administration that will just play guys around. Clearly, you can see how Murkomen is playing people. Clearly. How does a president talk about shooting people in the leg? A whole president.
Now, I think, like going back to what Mika said earlier and what Ira is asking over here, is that we have by-elections that are coming up, and maybe Fanya Mambo, you can tell us. We have by-elections that are coming up.
Yes.
I think it's in November. Is it October? No, it's in November. November 27th. And this, if I'm not mistaken, will be the biggest by-election ever Kenya has ever seen.
And by the way,
Yeah.
I was listening to Linus Kaikai. Voter registration starts on Monday. And Fanya Mambo can actually correct me on
Yes,
that, I'm not sure.
Yes, but not to lose this
29.
point.
Yes.
Yeah, not to lose this point. So there's a very big by-election that's coming up. And where my worry is these political parties that people are trying to get away from. They're the ones who have organized groups. They're the ones who've named candidates. Maybe they're independents who are not getting media airtime. But they're the ones who are actually presenting what seems to be front runners. So maybe Fanya Mambo tuambie, like from the Gen Z revolt, because there was this idea that everything is going to be swept. Now, we know that these by-elections that are usually within 2 years of a general election, they're usually a precursor of what's going to happen in the upcoming election. Is there any organized effort by Gen Z, as far, or not even necessarily just Gen Z, just overall Kenyans who want to see progress? Is there any organized effort towards trying to get some organic leaders in these 20-something by-elections that are going to happen? Because so far from what I've been seeing, it is the political parties that have been taking the lead in this conversation. Or maybe what are we missing, Fanya Mambo?
Thank you. I think it's about the candidates and what the candidates inspire. When these elections were called, or when these seats fell vacant and then IBC declared that we shall have by-elections, every person who thought they could win went to a particular political party that they thought would help them win. Now, contrast that with a situation whereby, let's say if it was Dagoretti South where KJ, for example, had been made minister and I was vying. The first thing I would have done is, before I appeal to a political party, I would have appealed to Gen Zs and millennials. I would have told them an opportunity has arisen for us to actualize the things that we have been saying. And we would have held an X-Space meeting. You remember the last time we would have an X-Space meeting with about 190,000 people, 200,000 people, and so on and so forth. And we would have said, now waomba all the Gen Zs and all the millennials, this coming Saturday, tutokeleze, for example, in a place in Dagoretti South. And we all campaign and create a psyche within the constituency that will make the people feel, wait a minute, these young people are serious. They mean business, and they've come, and they're not bulging, and they are campaigning for one of their own, and they are telling us it's not about money. Wamejitolea, wamekuja, they are on their foot, some are on bicycles, some on boda, come as you are, for example. So I feel that sometimes it's what the leader inspires. I remember Barack Obama coming out, and his campaign was about Americans giving him $1, $2, $5. And people owning his campaign and running with it. So the candidates we have sold their candidature to political parties. And they have wanted political parties to own their campaign. and they have started it from there. So I think, as I've always said, leadership comes from the person who is in front there. If it was me leading a constituency campaign, I would make the parties catch up with the population. I would make sure that at the heart and center and steering of everything, the people in Kenya are there, and that the political class is having to catch up and say, wait a minute, tuingieni huku kwenye watu wako, because this candidate is inspiring the hearts of the people. So we haven't had that kind of inspiration from the people who are vying, and that is why political parties are taking the lead.
All right, asante sana, Fanya Mambo. The number to call is 20. What are you saying? What do you think we should do?
Just continue. I mean, it's gonna be a glitch.
Yeah.
YouTube is still doing its thing. Facebook cut off. Like, for whatever happened, something happened, but it's like just YouTube is like it never.
Okay.
Facebook on the issue.
Okay. Aya, sawa.
Maybe we are being dosed.
Okay, no worries. So tutaendelea tu na YouTube. Okay. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Now, we got a bit derailed from the conversation about health, and I don't want us to get distracted from it. So, Fanya Mambo, for diasporans who may not fully understand, what exactly is NHIF, which has now become the SHA or Social Healthcare Authority, and why should it matter to people in the diaspora? Fanya Mambo.
Thank you very much. Now, the National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, is as old as Kenya's independence. So when it was started in the 70s, thereabout, actually it came way after independence, the idea was we all contribute some money, just like it works in very many other countries. And then whenever you fall sick, you go to hospital and the medical cover pays for your bill or part of your bill. To a great extent, NHIF was working. To a great extent, NHIF had some success. The problem that has occurred in this country, and I don't know why, is that when you have something that is working and a new government comes in, instead of trying to panel beat and fix the small places where you feel it can be improved upon, you come and destroy the whole thing and you want to start afresh. I usually give the example to Kenyans of, for example, a Toyota. You know, when we were small, you used to see a Toyota that was called a K70. And then they improved it. It became a Toyota 90. If you remember Toyota 90. Then Toyota 91. Wanabadilisha two lights, same chassis. Wanabadilisha. Then Toyota 91, they make it EFI. And then it becomes a Toyota 100. It becomes a Toyota 110. It goes on and so on and so forth. You know, you get the NZD, you get the Axio, and so on and so forth. The problem with Kenya is we had a working system that was NHIF. Was it perfect? No, absolutely no, but it was working. So what we needed to have done, just like the Japanese with their cars, is to change something small, improve on it, and continue with the system. If you learn from M-Pesa, when M-Pesa began, where they were is not where they are. I mean, along the way, they've had to do a lot of system upgrades, system changes, system improvements, and so on and so forth. So now NHIF, people come into government and decide we are overhauling NHIF. We are coming up with something new. That something new is going to be called Social Health Authority. And then this is how it's going to work. And they do it. And unfortunately, within a very short time of 3 years, Social Health Authority has incurred more debt to hospitals than NHIF ever incurred in its existence in over 40, 50 years that it has been in existence. This is where the problem is. So the Social Health Authority was not designed to work for Kenyans. It was designed to work for those people who designed it, because now it has been proven to be a conduit for people stealing money from the public. I remember the Auditor General telling us that the contributions that are going into SHA are not going into the consolidated fund. Those are monies that are literally being stolen and going into people's pockets. And guess what? Unashamedly, this administration is insisting on people registering and paying. And then we're asking them, look here, we have already been told by the Auditor General of the Republic of Kenya that hii pesa mnaokota kwa wananchi haiendi kwa consolidated fund. We have already been told that this money is being stolen. It's going into private pockets. But guess what? My MP KJ has set up tents in Dagoretti South. They are going around in every ward within Dagoretti South and telling people to register for SHA. But when you ask them, let us have a conversation about the fact that SHA is not working, they don't want. All he needs to do is set up desks and continue creating more customers for his boss so that more money is harvested from Dagoretti South and all the other constituencies and taken to this loophole that the controller of budget and the Auditor General are telling us that loophole is not the consolidated fund. So now it has gotten to a place where we think the state is actually using sitting members of parliament from UDA to go and set up tents and in their own constituencies. Yani ni kama watafutie this thing called SHA, waitafutie customers. Na ile pesa inaokotwa is not going to the consolidated fund. And nobody wants to address that. They just want you to address the issue of bring your money, don't ask us questions. So that is why SHA is not working.
Okay, now we actually have a caller, Fanya Mambo. And again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5. Or the caller is no longer there. Yeah, caller, apologies. Please call back again, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Caller, please call again, and we're going to pick up your call. Now, so Fanya Mambo was just explaining, NHIF and SHA, because a lot of people in the diaspora pay towards healthcare in Kenya. They pay for medical bills, they pay for hospital expenses, and this
for
is
even
actually
SHA itself.
Yes, so even SHA itself, or even for this insurance scheme. So it's taking a big chunk of diaspora money. And I can see here, and Karaoke is saying, Fanya Mambo, I support your candidature, the new crop of leaders of change. And then Washeke says politicians don't want gradual improvements because how are they going to eat? The overhauling of systems is all about theft. And then and Karaoke is asking about what about e-citizen money. And then Washeke has a question for the guest. Where is the money for affordable housing going to? So Fanya Mambo, is money for affordable housing going to a similar place like where, because all these monies that are collected are supposed to go to what's called a consolidated fund. Is it the same thing for affordable? Because you said that the money for SHA is going to a different fund. It's not going to the consolidated fund. So is it the same thing for affordable housing?
To start with me, I've always called it avoidable housing. The reason I call it avoidable housing is because it can be avoided. It's a disaster. Why would government make the cost of cement so high? Because taxation on cement is so high in this country. The cost of mabati is so high. The cost of nails and all sorts of other building materials, they go and tax them so heavily so that Simiti will talk around 600 to about 850 right now. A jump in over 250 shillings within 3 years.
Mashinani, it's 1,000.
Yes, Mashinani, it's 1,000. So you make cement expensive. Wow. And then you are sitting there wondering why Kenyans are not able to build their own houses. And then you start raiding their payslip so that you can build for them houses that they never asked you for. So before we even discuss where the money for these houses is going into, my submission is, if you make the cost of building materials affordable, Kenyans would be happy to build their own houses. Kenyans would be happy to build their own homes. Let me paint for you the picture of what this affordable housing is. You run a practice as a doctor. You have your practice as a doctor. You walk in and you find there are so many people at the reception. And then you decide, oh, I'm a clever doctor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to expand the size of the reception so that people are not crowded at the reception. You're a stupid doctor. And the reason I say you're a stupid doctor is the problem is not the size of the reception. The problem is the doctors who are seeing people on the other side are either too few, or they are doing it too slowly, or they are doing it inefficiently. And therefore, what you need to do is to either increase the consultation rooms or to increase the efficiency at the consultation rooms. But instead of doing that, you're increasing the size of the reception because you think there are so many people sitting at the reception because they're happy to be at the reception. Affordable housing, the reason is not working is there are so many people who came to look for opportunities in Nairobi, and they should not be in Nairobi. Tell me, for example, a company that like Bidco that employs over 2,000 people, why is it operating from industrial area? Whereas the bulk of their raw materials like sunflower and so on and so forth come from Uganda, if it was producing from Kisumu or Kakamega. So if these 2,000 families employed by this company were not in Nairobi, they were working from a sensible location for that company, which would have been Kisumu or Kakamega, it means they wouldn't have come to Nairobi, and it means they wouldn't be in a slum, and it means there would be no need to upgrade that slum in the name of affordable housing. The idea behind affordable housing should not have come at this point in time. Nairobi is the capital city, but yet it has the bulk of our manufacturing. Many sensible nations do not have the bulk of their manufacturing happening in the capital. Can you imagine in the US you find the bulk of the manufacturing happening in Washington, D.C.? It doesn't happen that way.
In fact, there's no manufacturing in Washington. I don't even know if there's any in Washington.
Exactly. So that is why I feel for us, the idea here should not be affordable housing. The idea should be, why are people coming into the city? It's to look for job opportunities. Is it possible for us to decentralize these job opportunities? Then you don't need to build houses. So we have a person who is foolish, who finds you selling fruits by the roadside, and this is what UDA did, on a wheelbarrow, and they say, oh, this person needs a wheelbarrow. So they started stupidly buying wheelbarrows and giving everybody who was selling by the roadside and saying, sasa, hautakuwa unaweka na kwa kitu mzee, we shall give you a wheelbarrow. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, on the other hand, looks at them and says, wait a minute. These people are selling on wheelbarrows by the roadside because they don't have a market. So he starts building markets for them close by to where they are. A decent outfit with a toilet, with a place they can wash their hands. Now that is how governments are supposed to think. So anybody who is telling us that Kenya needs affordable housing right now has got a brain that is too affordable to every idea. What we need is not affordable housing, is to ask, what is causing Kenyans to find themselves in slums? They've come to look for opportunities. How do we make sure that these opportunities are available to them closer home? Then you won't need to build any house.
Now, especially even when we look at
Logic.
at the diaspora, for example, in as far as employment opportunity, we actually have the caller who has called back again. We don't want to lose him again.
Yes.
So I think we're going to pick up the call and then we're going to continue. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak.
Welcome to the OneMic Show.
Number ending in 7821. 7821. Name and where you're calling from.
Thank you, Ali. My name is Benito Soro, and I'm calling from Laurel, Maryland.
All right, Benito, talk to us.
Habari yako, Bwana Benito.
Good. Who am I speaking to? I had Ali, but I don't know who.
Yes, this is Ali. Talk to us, Benito.
We karibu boss, wewe hata story mob.
Oh, Mosh Fire, I can tell your voice, huh?
What up, bro?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I just want to address my aspiring candidate, Kinuthia. I am from the Dagoretti South Constituency in Oltiro Ward. So I felt pressed with some questions that I really want to ask him. So is he online? Is he
Yes.
Fanya Mambo, sema kitu ndio kusikia.
Yeah, how are you? Fanya Mambo, vipi? How are you?
Asante sana mtu wa Odero Rodhemeto. Thank you.
Yeah, sisi tuko Odero Rodhemeto hapo Modoa, Odero Rodhemeto.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm in Maryland, Laurel, but I hail from Odero. And my pressing issue is about the land rates in the Dagoretti constituency. And before Dagoretti was even divided to Dagoretti North and Dagoretti South, we were just one Dagoretti under Kamuyo, under, Gasanja,
Yes,
back in the
Mugo.
days.
Yes.
Yeah, but now it's Dagoretti South and Dagoretti North. We are under
Yes.
KJ, okay, and you are
Yes.
aspiring candidate for MP in Dagoretti South.
Yes.
So my pressing issue, like I said, is the land rates. Back in the days before it was divided, Karen is in Dagoretti and was in
Yes.
Dagoretti constituency. But Karen
Yes.
ward or Karen, I don't know if it's a ward or anything, but they didn't used to pay land rates. And
Yes.
Karen, as you know, traditionally was back in the days or even now, is a rich neighborhood owned
Yes.
by rich people. And they,
Yes.
according to my understanding, even from back in the days, they didn't used to pay land rates. Why is it that the rich people from Karen in the Great Constituency don't have to pay land rates, and the other regular people in the Great Constituency from Rodemitu, from Waidaka, from other wards in the Great Constituency, they have to pay land rates? And then when it comes to resources or services that are rendered by the Nairobi County Council, we are all under the Nairobi County Council. When it comes to the services like water supply is not adequate in these other words. Current, they don't ever lack water supply. They can even dig their own boreholes. But in other words, we are harassed if you dig your own borehole. We have so many conditions whereby you cannot even dig your own borehole. But these rich people in Karen who are in the same constituency, they can dig their own borehole. They have adequate water supply, and they have tarmacked roads. Like where I come from, like in Odiru, okay, or Itaka, we just started having tarmac roads in the neighborhoods after all this CDF implementation was done. But these people have enjoyed all the services and facility and privileges since ever time in memorial. Okay, so you as an aspiring member of parliament, what will you do? What changes will you implement or bring forward to bring a change or to make all services even within the constituency? Okay.
Okay. All right. I think.
And
yeah.
the issue of land rates, we pay land rates every month, every quarterly, or every year. From my understanding, Mr. Kinuthia, Fanya Mambo, these people
Yes.
don't even pay land rates.
I'll explain.
Okay, all right, sawa. So Ben, wacha mpatie Fanya Mambo an opportunity. I think he's got your question.
And that's just one of my sorry, Mike, and that's just one of my questions. I have several other questions.
Okay, all right.
But
So
can you address that, please?
yeah, okay, all right. Go ahead, and then Ben, you'll summarize your other questions so that he can take them at a go. Fanya Mambo, twende kazi.
Yes, Fanya
I think
Mambo. Let's go.
or maybe because we don't want to lose him on call, if you would allow,
Yes.
we can allow him to ask the other questions. I mean, we value his time and he's been able to be on call, so
Yes.
we don't lose him on call. If we can get them all, and then I can answer all of them together.
Okay, so Benito, in like a minute or two, if you could summarize your other questions so that Fanya Mambo can take them at a go. Benito.
Okay, yes. The other issue is the issue of security. I'm here in Maryland, in Laurel. I'm from Odiru, okay, and the issue of security in that area is a pressing issue. We have a chief's camp in Uthiru, Mudoa, which is the Dagoretti South constituency. I hear a lot of issues and stories about people being mugged, coming home, people who work late in the hotel industry, people who have to come home late with boda or Uber or whatever. They're being mugged at night when they come home. And yet we have a chief's camp in Mudoa or in other neighborhoods who are close, but maybe that's on their Kiambu side, because Uthiru is a tricky place. Uthiru is the border town between Nairobi and Kiambu. But even on the Kiambu side, I'm hearing the same kind of stories and same kind of cases where people are being mugged. And then the issue is the police officers, the OCSs, the AP camps, they are complacent, you know.
Okay.
I grew up in this neighborhood. Okay, I've been mugged. I've been raided by police officers coming home, and the most feared thing was police officers going home. Was police officers. I didn't worry about the thugs and everybody.
So Benito,
police officers.
So you need security.
AP officers.
Okay, sawa, security.
You need security.
You need security, yeah. So
yeah, hiyo ni security, but kama security hao maofisa ndio wanakushika, wanakuterrorize, and they ask for bribes while you're coming home late, and maybe you work late and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, sawa.
Hata sio wakora. Hao maofisa wa polisi wametoka Kabete police station.
Okay, Benito, because of time, post
ile iko hapo hivyo in the neighborhood, they terrorize the people in the neighborhood, people who come late, people who are coming late.
Okay.
And that story has been going on.
Okay, so we've got the question, Benito. Benito, we've got the question because of time. What's your next question so that we can give this back to Fanya Mambo?
Because anaandika.
Yeah, the next question is about the borehole. Okay? People in Karen can dig their own boreholes because they have money and everything. But people in other neighborhoods, they're not even allowed to dig boreholes.
Which neighborhood?
If I have the ability to dig a borehole to supply my tenants or even to supply me with water, we are under Nairobi City Council. Nairobi City Council inafunguliaga maji, okay, 2 days in a week. Then inafungulia saa 8 za usiku, saa zile watu wamelala. Unaona? Saa zile watu wamelala saa 8 za usiku, saa 9 za usiku. When people are asleep, people gotta go to sleep. And then in the morning, they gotta wake up to go to work. But in Karen, wanafungulia maji mchana yote. The rest of the day, they luxuriously open, let the water flow to Karen residents. The rest of the day, they take hot showers and do what they have to do. But you expect hardworking Kenyans or constituencies of the Dagoretti constituency to wake up late in the night, kuchotea maji kwa mitungi and everything, ndio wapate maji hata kupika chai, kuoga asubuhi, kupeleka watoto shule. They have to wake up at night and fetch water, because asubuhi ikifika asubuhi, by 6 o'clock, maji imezimwa. Maji ina directiwa Karen. Okay.
Aya, maji.
And the main pipeline that goes to State House, huko kwa Ruto, inapitia Uthiru. The main pipeline inaenda maji State House kutoka Ondire ama whatever, inapitia Uthiru in the Dagoretti constituency.
Okay.
We lack water, but other people can get water, but we cannot get water.
Okay, point taken.
Point
water
taken.
is
the next one
supplied to us 2 days in a week.
Yeah.
2 days in a week. Fanya Mambo.
I think let's go to Fanya Mambo.
And it's late in the night when people are asleep. You understand?
Okay, sawa. Let's go to Fanya Mambo now to address your questions. Fanya Mambo.
Umesikia hizo maswali zote?
Yes. Umemute. I think Fanya Mambo.
Sorry.
No, I have them written down.
Okay, sawa, go ahead.
We can hear you now.
He's listening.
Okay. Thank you. First and foremost, Karen Residents Association had got a resident association called Karengata. And during the Moi regime, in the 90s, around 96, 97, 98, they had gotten tired of paying taxes and not getting services for them. And I remember they moved to court, and that time they hired a very prominent lawyer, then Paul Moite, and a few others. And they sued the then Nairobi City Council because we didn't have a county. It was Nairobi City Council. And they were given permission to stop paying for some of the taxes they were paying because they were not getting services. So what Karengata did is, because of that court order, they were told you cannot continue paying for services that you do not receive. So they stopped remitting monies to Nairobi City Council then, and they started offering those services themselves. They had gotten tired. There was garbage all over Karen. There was potholes. There was everything. So if you Google on your phone, you'll find the Karengata Association and their landmark case and how it stopped them from paying some of those stupid taxes they were paying. And that time it was seen as stupid because they were paying for services they were not receiving. And so by dint of a court order, they were able to stop doing it, and they started doing it for themselves. And so Karengata came up with an association that was very strong. They control how you build, they control when you build, they control where you build, they control everything, but they also build the roads, and they would put their money together and they would do what the county had failed to do. That has since been overtaken by time, because now we have Nairobi City County. If you go there, they are collecting parking fees. If you go there, they are collecting monies from businesses. If you go there, they are asking for single business permits. And as to whether they are offering services to the people is known to all of us. So, and that now addresses the issue of, again, adequate roads. This time when Nairobi City Council under the mayors was doing nothing other than drama, Karengata, because of their coming together, and of course they were affluent, were able to put monies together, and they were able to build roads for themselves. So it appeared as if there was a bias to give Karen more roads than themselves. Remember, because of this court order, they were able to sink a lot of boreholes around this time, and Kanjo could not ask them questions. So they enjoyed a period of time in their history when they could do things that others could not do, because they had a court order and they had won a case and it had gone in their favor. Now, I'll tell you this. One of the reasons, and I feel sometimes like I want to apologize for Kenya having had parliamentarians who did not have common sense inside their brains. They just had nothing going in there. Why, for example, are we having conversations about boreholes? Why are we having conversations about water being supplied to people? It's because we have thought that the way we found things happening is the way they should be happening, and it's the way we should perpetuate for them to continue happening. But I have news for you. Fanya Mambo thinks differently. Number one, if I went to Parliament in 2027, and by God's will and your help, I will go to Parliament, one of the first things we shall do is to change the building code in Kenya. For example, why aren't we storing rainwater? Why do we all have to have a conversation about either sinking our borehole or waiting for Nairobi City County water? So that every house that is going to be approved, before ipatiwe approval ya Kanjo unaulizwa, how much storage do you have? So that they say for a 1-bedroom house, you need to have a tank, maybe 5,000 liters. For a 3-bedroom house, if you build apartments, you're supposed to have an underground storage of this amount of. And people will start arguing, rainwater in Nairobi is not clean. I agree. But did you realize that the amount of water you use for cooking and drinking in your house is about 5%? 95% of the water used at home goes into cleaning. Flushing the toilet, taking a shower, washing the house, washing clothes, washing utensils. If we were to store rainwater, the bulk of those duties would be done with rainwater, so that the purified municipal water is kept for use. So if we change the building code and we move from this nonsense of having a dam and a system and water coming to you, it's like we have a contract with the Indian Ocean. Kunanyesha, and after 3 days, our drainage is clogged, water is heading in, it's carrying people, and all ends up in the Indian Ocean. If we had leaders who had common sense, one of the first things we would do is to make sure that the amount of water that comes on your roof is not wasted first. Can wash your car, can wash your house, can flush your toilet, and so on and so forth. Yes? Then, the issue of land rates, I'll tie it to riparian land. The people of Dagoretti, and you agree with me, were born lucky because we found ourselves in Nairobi and we found ourselves with freehold titles. And our freehold titles, some of them had a river frontage. That riparian land, when you look at the Water Act, the riparian land is supposed to be about 6 meters from that. But I remember this administration coming and saying that they want to start building affordable houses on our riparian land. And they wanted to take 30 meters from Ukoju Kavove, if you know Kavove, my friend, going all the way down. And mpaka sai by then niko na deni ya wakili. I remember mobilizing the community in Dagoretti South. I remember us meeting at a social hall. And I remember us meeting, especially the ones from Dagoretti North now, the larger Dagoretti North. And the landowners, led by Mzee Pius Wanguo, may God bless him, he's been a good leader, put together what they could, and we hired a lawyer. And we stopped this government from coming to take away our riparian land because we have been paying rates for it. So these are fights that we've continued to fight. I keep telling Kenyans, mimi niko na kesi 5 against this administration, and I can list them here. Na hizo kesi 5 hata sijaweza kulipa mawakili zote. In fact, one of them was also one of the punitive taxations. Zingine tunalipanga unabaki mpaka na madeni ya mawakili, and you are fighting for Kenyans. So we have already shown that we are willing to do something for people before we even start occupying positions of leadership, because some of these things could not wait. Finally, security. I told you, when you have bad leadership, you deal with so many problems that are symptoms of the problem. Kenya, the people to police ratio, we have about 1 policeman to serve 1,200 people. Whereas 1 policeman is supposed by international standards to serve about 400 people. But then instead of dealing with this gap and decreasing it, we decide to worsen it by taking 1,000 of our policemen to Haiti. So we have people being mugged in broad daylight. I think Muliona the other day, it was all over TikTok. Some of them were coming with human waste, wamekushikia hivi. And it's filthy and it's bad. In the streets, mchana saa 8. Anakwambia unipatie pesa ama nikupake. And our policemen are fighting a useless fight in Haiti. So it's about leadership. And then look at some of our politicians, especially the CSs. Somebody has literally been allocated 12 policemen. That's a whole police post allocated to 1 person for security. Na magari 3 ama 4 to escort him to useless meetings to go and give beans, maharagwe, in the name of empowerment. Watu wapewe maharagwe wafure tumbo. So the issue of security is a systemic issue. It's an issue of government having its priorities upside down. So that you take a cabinet secretary, you allocate them 12 to 13 men to protect them, and then you have the civilians not having enough policemen available to serve them. And those who are there are demotivated, they're not well paid. So it's a systemic issue that we shall deal with. But most finally, how are we going to change this? And you asked about what policies will come in place. It is something called NGCDF. Each constituency in Nairobi gets about 100 million. So when you put them together, because they are 17, the total is 1.7 billion. I want you to know that there is no older clip on the internet of a person talking against monies that were going to people that we did not vote for, other than what you will find from Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. I stand in a lot of humility before you and God to tell you that the person you're looking at here started the fight in this country against 700 million that was going to the spouse of the president, 700 million that was going to the spouse of the deputy president, and 500 million that was going to Musalia Mudavadi's wife. In total, 3 women that we never voted for were getting 1.9 billion. 17 constituencies in Nairobi were getting 1.7 billion, 100 million each. If you look, you can see the work that some of these politicians are saying they've done with CDF. Babu Owino, for example, and all the others are showing projects they have done with CDF money. If we can see the total number of classrooms and toilets and so on that has been built from just 100 million per constituency, then you can imagine in 3 years, we had allocated 1.9 billion times 3 to 3 women we never voted for. We had allocated close to 5.8 billion to the wrong places. 5.7 actually. Yours truly, Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, fought that single-handedly outside of parliament without your votes. And guess what? This year alone, Kenya has saved 1.9 billion that would have gone to 3 women we never voted for. And next year, and the next year. So mimi hata kama sijachaguliwa saa hii, I have already saved Kenya 5.7 billion. Because out of that noise, and I can tell you, there is no older clip anywhere online about a Kenya raising this issue than the ones from Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. The same goes to how do we help our people? On 30th of January 2024, I sat on a show with Jeff Koinange and I said, MCA akona basari, MP akona basari, Governor akona basari, Senator akona basari. That was yours truly, Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. There is no older conversation about abolishing, amalgamating, and demolishing the issue of bursary to help our people than that. 30th of January 2024. The reason I'm saying the date is this. Many people have spoken about it. There is no older conversation you will find online than that. And I can tell you, Karongo Adhangwa, the senator for Kiambu, picked it up in the month of May and 2024, went to Parliament and spoke about it. And when he spoke about it, Senate started discussing that conversation. On the 23rd of August 2024, Speaker Moses Wetangula said, Kenya needs to discuss bursary. Guess what came out of Parliament? It was discovered that Kenya spends 104 billion shillings on various bursaries that are happening around the country per year. Yet we spend 27 billion shillings on capitation to free primary and secondary education. So the amount of money we waste on rubbish called bursary is enough to educate our children for 4 years.
So here's a question, Fanya Mambo.
Yes.
There's, especially on that part of education, so that we don't lose it, because that's another big part for Kenyans in the diaspora. We send a lot of school fees money because of a broken education system. I personally remember when I was young, I grew up in Nairobi West. So in Nairobi West, I remember in our neighborhood, most kids were going to, there was Madaraka Primary, Kongoni Primary School, and I can't remember, there was also Nairobi South, which was in South B. So most, I would say over 90% of the kids in the neighborhood were going to one of these schools. There were very few of us who were attending private schools. I attended More Educational Center, which is in South C, which was kind of a new school when I was attending it. But most people used to attend public schools. And even the idea of a private school was high-end, like very few people used to go to private schools. But because of the falling apart of the public schooling system, the standards of private schools has also gone down because there's a demand, because these public schooling systems are not working and there are parents who cannot afford these very expensive private schools. So now there's another class of private schools that's being built everywhere. So as far as funding of education, you talked about bursaries, you talked about capitation, and then there's money that comes from easy CDF. These ones that are given to MPs, and there's some that are even given to senators. And you also mentioned something interesting, that the amount of money that goes to bursaries is like almost 4 times. You said 27 is going towards capitation and 104 is going towards bursaries. So basically, if all this money was amalgamated, there would be more than enough money to educate all the students in Kenya, both in primary and in secondary school.
AKA free school.
Is that accurate, Fanya Mambo?
Actually, I was going to that.
Yeah.
Guess what? On the 30th of April, and that's why I'm giving you dates, the Speaker of the National Assembly created a parliamentary committee headed by one Junet Mohammed. So that has happened this year, 30th of April, to now discuss this idea. Guess what? They have actually literally discovered that it is possible to have free primary education and free secondary education. But of course, Parliament may not want it, because these checks that you call bursary, we're making them demigods. Munapangishwa line, munaekwa mahali, for a whole day munapewa stupid propaganda, alafu munapewa to checks for 3,000, 5,000, dehumanizing our people and taking away their dignity from them. Let me tell you, the fact that the National Assembly and the Senate of Kenya is sitting down and even creating committees to discuss an idea that was pushed by a young person called Fanya Mambo Kinuthia, who does not hold an elective seat. Can you imagine? Imefika mahali now the whole nation and its representatives are discussing my idea at National Assembly is a good thing. But why did I want to do it? It's because I felt if you have a child in a national school, you will spend about 60 to 75,000 shillings on fees in a year. So if we make education free at primary and secondary school, do you know what it means? You have unlocked 75,000 that used to live a poor home in Murang'a or Kisii or Migori, and that 75,000 has been retained in the home. It's not going to a school. If by dint of my fight, Kenya was able to have free primary education and free secondary education, do you know what would happen? We would unlock so much money that has been going into schools and retain it in homes.
Okay. All right.
The ripple effect of that is that you, the diaspora community, will now be required to send less money into the same venture that is primary school education. And when you are sending less money, it means that you are now having some little money left for you to probably do a capital development in your home area that maybe you wanted to build a house or something. You are left with more money at your disposal. So making primary school free and making high school free must be done so that the diaspora, ile pesa ulikuwa unatuma sasa ya hiyo iondoke. Why I'm fighting for share is the same thing. Making sure that your money is not going to the wrong thing, that when you send your money here, more of it is not coming to recurrent, but to development expenditure.
Okay, so let's let Benito. Okay, Benito is still on the
line. Ali,
yes.
Sorry to cut you short. Go ahead, Ali. I just wanted to do a recap question or follow up on what
yes. So Benito
said.
Yeah. So Benito, let's
go ahead.
For
if you had something to say, I just.
No, go ahead, Benito. You know, we're gonna give you like 2 more minutes, and then we'll continue with the show. So Benito, go ahead.
Okay, Fanya Mambo and Ali, thank you for that. Fanya Mambo, I don't need answers now, but what I'm saying, Fanya Mambo, this is to you. If you're an aspiring candidate in the Dagoretti constituency, I just want you to refocus on the education aspect of the Dagoretti constituency, the water aspect, water supply, that's a pressing issue, okay? The water supply and the roads and the security, okay? And another issue that I did not highlight is the illicit brew in the Dagoretti constituency. The police, the AP, and all those other security agencies, they're complacent in that. They collect money out of that and they just let that thing run out of the neighborhoods. You understand? They make money
Yes, I
out
do.
of it. They let the illicit brew run, and I know there are people who make a livelihood out of the illicit brew and everything. But it's every day. There's this group called. Are you listening, Fanya Mambo?
Yes,
He's
I am.
listening.
Yes,
He's
I
There's this
am.
group
listening.
called. Yeah, I don't know if you're in that group. Out there, they
Okay.
report every death that of anybody who died in the past,
Yes.
like in the past 1 year or 2 years or whatever. Very young
Yes.
people are dying out of, and almost all of them are dying out of drinking illicit brews. This
Yes.
illicit brew, changa, whatever other stuff that is being brewed out there, they are just being brewed and cooked and sold in the neighborhoods. And the police are complicit. They're not cracking down on this. They come and collect their fee at the end of the day, and we know what goes on. We know what goes on.
Benito.
But young people, I see people who are way young, 20, 21, 22, they're dying out of drinking all this stuff.
Okay, Benito.
We need to crack
share-
down on that.
Share a link for the group invite. If nobody has reached Fanya Mambo, then we can make sure that he gets to it. Or it gets to him, and then he can join. Or he can be invited. How about that?
Can I quickly
Benito,
react
yeah?
to that?
Yeah, no, go ahead, react. Yes, please, by all means.
Benito, I'd like to tell you something. There's something I've been doing, and it's a very interesting campaign, and we've been telling people about it. Very, very simple approach. Tumemwaga pombe, tumeona that strategy is not working. They've transferred chiefs, they've transferred police heads. That strategy is not working. There is only one strategy that will work and is working and has been seen to work. Every single parent in Dagoretti South must say, I am going to reduce the number of young people who are dying from alcohol by 1 or 2. And that 1 or 2 is my son and my daughter. Mimi kama mzazi, I have to start saying the strategy of fighting with the alcohol seller is not working. Let us start a new strategy that people had not thought about. The strategy of dealing with the alcohol consumer. When you take away the customer, the trade will die. I saw people sometimes arresting prostitutes because even we had that in Dagoretti South. I told them the problem is not the prostitute. The problem is the buyer of the services. When you raise young men who believe in themselves, I have a son who is now 17 years old. My son is my personal project. I speak to him, I talk to him, I walk with him, I go to the gym with him. And every single day, I remind him as his father that he has a duty to be a responsible young man. I show him love. I show him commitment. I hold his hand. I hold him in high esteem. I pray for him. I bless my son. Very many parents are thinking that the problem is alcohol. My son is in a national school. And like most national schools, he'll tell you, Dad, kuna boys who wanajificha wana smoke shule. Why is he not smoking? He's not smoking is not because he doesn't have access, because we are thinking the problem is access. My son is telling me he even knows where they smoke from and when they hide and what time they do it. And we all went to school where we saw boys smoking. We must make our children the kind of children who will sit in a room and say, guys have gone out to smoke, but I'm not going out to smoke. People have gone out to drink illicit alcohol, but by choice, I am not going to do it. So we are starting, and I have gone to Motoini High School. I have gone to Bethmugo High School. We are speaking to young people and telling them, what Pima afungue bar, alafu wakute young people who are not willing to walk into her premises. They are saying the alcohol is available, imejaa kwa mitungi, but me, I am not consuming it. We must take away the customer. And on the day when we shall take away the customer, that trade must die. This other story, tumejaribu, tumemwaga pombe, tumeshika watu, tumetransfer DO, tumetransfer DC, tumetransfer OCS, tumefunga hizo magari, it is not going to work. We have to be responsible parents, and we have to take away now our children. Tukufe na wao, tuseme wangu hata kunywa. And we do it with love, we do it with compassion, we do it with dedication, we do it with commitment. Mukinichagua nikuwe MP wenyu, I will continue with the same program of instilling values in our people, so that anakwambia bangi inavutwa pale, lakini mimi napitanga siwezi vuta. As opposed to sivutangi bangi juu sina access. It's not about access. It's about an outright refusal from inside and saying, I will not do it because it is not right. That is what will save Dagoretti.
Okay. Aya, sawa
Okay,
sawa.
Mheshimiwa, I'll make a last statement. I just want to say thank you to OneMic and Ali Badawe and Omosha Fire, and to you, Kinuthia, Fanya Mambo, for having us tonight na kuwa mejibu maswali zangu. But mimi ni mkaa wa Dagoretti South Constituency, and also my first cousin was the MCA there a couple years. Samuel Mushene Kabiru. He's my first cousin. He's named after my
He's
dad.
my friend. He was voted on Jubilee.
I think you know him. I think you know him. Yeah, Jubilee.
Yes.
He's my first cousin. He's named after my dad. And he's vying again, of course, you know that.
And you know he was voted in without money.
Mhm.
He was voted in without bribing anyone. I'm saying your cousin is a wonderful man. He was voted in without bribing, without money. You remember his financial situation. So the people of Dagoretti,
he did a lot of work. He did a lot of work, grassroots and everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Aya, Benito,
And
asante
he's
sana.
my first cousin, named after my dad, and we are right there next door to each other. And he's vying again. Best luck to him, and best luck to you, Mr. Fanya Mambo. Good luck to you. I'll vote for you. I can tell you, my vote is your vote. You know.
Thank you very much.
Takupigia kura, but please address these issues. Address all these issues, and you will have the people's votes. Thank you, OneMic. Thank you. Everything.
Thank you, Benito. Asante sana, Benito.
Thank you, everybody.
Haya, gabe.
Okay, shukran,
I think
Benito.
Benito owes us
Asante
like
sana.
2
Asante
toys.
sana.
He owes us like 2 kids.
Like 2 kids.
Yeah, I mean, he's been the whole show.
Sawa, Benito, asante.
Sawa sawa, Benito, asante
Sawa,
sana.
tuko pamoja. Tuko
Kabisa.
pamoja.
Sawa,
Thank you,
sawa,
Mheshimiwa.
sawa.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so quite a number of issues came
Go
up that,
Gunners.
that we wanted to that we had planned to talk about came up in this conversation. So you know, I think, you know, like the issue of he mentioned illicit brews.
Yes.
There's and these some people might disagree with me. Even just regular legal brews, the access that minors have, and I know, you know, like Fanya Mambo said, the issue is not necessarily access, which I tend to agree with him. But then you have you know, like the way entertainment now in Nairobi has been devolved to neighborhoods. So there's a lot of, you know, like shops, wines and spirits shops all over the place. Now there's also this other thing called sports betting. That's
gambling.
Which
or gambling. Let me not
Gambling.
say sports
Which
betting.
comes with addiction.
Or as
Yeah.
Ali calls it, haram.
And, we're
Zana.
not even,
all of these things are haram.
No. Where I will agree with Fanya Mambo, and most people may not agree.
Yes.
90% of the time, like I can look at in our extended family, 90% of the people who smoke, guess who's smoking? Their parents.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have a parent who smokes, for example, there's a very high chance that the child is gonna smoke.
Waswahili usema
Yeah.
kikulacho
Kinguone yako.
kingoni mwako.
Kingoni mwako.
yes.
Yeah.
Which means that, you know, usually madha
How-
ukodhanio starts
Yeah.
from nyumbani.
Yes.
So,
It's
so,
there.
so you see,
That's
even
for sure.
even when it comes to alcohol, the reason why for us, you know, Islam, it's so easy to stay away from alcohol is because we grew up in environments where we never saw anyone drinking. So even when you're around spaces where people are drinking, it's not.
But let me ask you, what
Yeah.
about someone like Omosh who doesn't drink, but his entire honeybees, whatever it is, has always been around.
So with Omosh, maybe he can tell us. I don't know whether he had alcohol.
For me, I never acquired. You know, I always believe, and that's what I found out from a lot of people. And I've been in the entertainment business for a very long time.
Yeah,
right?
because-
For decades, right?
No, there's exceptions. There's exceptions to the rule.
Correct. And I think I might be an exception. But it also, for me, I always say alcohol is an acquired taste. I never acquired the taste.
But
So-
did you have alcohol in your household?
Let me tell you, I had people.
Yeah.
Okay, so in our household,
In your household.
my older brother
Yeah.
was, in fact, he's the one who funguad and closed
Okay.
the place.
Yeah.
So my dad was not.
Okay.
But my bro, you know, and we always look up to our brothers,
Yes.
to the older siblings or to your uncles or something, right?
Yeah.
So the alcohol, yes, it was around. But at some point, pia unaangalia vile inaleta kasheshe for people, pia we unasema, ai, maze,
Yeah.
I don't think I want to end up over there.
Yeah, because
so
to
you
add-
have to make some decisions.
To
at
add to
some
that,
point.
Yeah.
like Dombolo, one of his boys, promoter, party, entertainment business.
Yeah.
No, not
Yes.
even a drop.
Yes.
So there are
exceptions.
There
and,
are
and there are also
exceptions.
exceptions
Some.
in the opposite way,
Correct.
whereby someone may come from a household where this is not being done. And
alafu anakuwa madhokodhanio.
Yes,
Yeye
but
ndiye
so, yeah.
anafungua springs.
but for
Yeah.
the majority, there is a very big influence, like Fanya Mambo is saying.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to parenting. But Fanya Mambo, one area where I would also maybe challenge you a bit, for parents who have to constantly work in order to put food on the table, so they don't necessarily have enough time to be able to spend with the children and make sure they're doing this or not doing this. How do you deal with that? And that's a majority of people. When you look at, for example,
Instituto in
Dagoretti
Kenya.
South constituency, when you're looking at Nairobi, it's the majority of the
In
population.
Stato or in Kenya?
No, I'm
No,
talking
in Kenya.
Dagoretti South in Stato.
No, because you're asking.
No, me, I'm talking about Kenya because I think the
yeah,
mistake.
Kenya, a lot of people
I
don't
think
have
the
time.
mistake when we look at Kenya, the mistake that we make is we are looking at that middle class life that most of us lived. When majority Nairobi, 70%, do not have that privilege of that middle class life. Unaona watu wanamka 3-4 a.m. and they are walking, they're going to industrial area to look for work, and by the time they're coming home, ni jioni, late. And then at that time the wife maybe is somewhere, ametoka hapa kwenda kufua nguo, amekwenda hapa kufua nguo, ameenda hapa kupika na nini. So they don't necessarily have the luxury of like spending time with the kids
Got it.
the way like a middle class
Got
family
it.
of someone working a 9 to 5
Got it.
would be able to do.
Okay.
So how do you deal with that challenge, Fanya Mambo?
It's very easy. There are two types of parents I have always said. One parent who says, I'm going to keep the laptop and the phone, and there'll be no internet in the house so that my child does not have access to pornography. That's one way of thinking. The other way of thinking is realizing that today, as long as you have internet in the house, your child will choose what they want to see on TV when you're not in the house. So having a conversation with your child so that even in your absence, when you come and look at the history of what they have been looking, you're able to see that your child did not choose a pornographic site. I think for us, we have to accept that having a phone in 2025 for your child, especially if they're above the age of 13, is no longer a luxury. And then the question becomes, how do you make sure that you've instilled in them such great morals that they will say, Dad told me that God is not happy when I, as a young person, is finding myself in pornographic sites. And they choose not to go there. And you come, and sometimes when you're there, you look at the gadget, you go through, and you can be able to check even the history. Sometimes I would even take my son's phone and take to these IT guys, because I'm not very good on phone matters, and tell them, just find a way to do even a background check on the sites they go to. And they'll tell me, yeah, this is amazing. We have looked at what your son has been going through, and we feel, I think he's, yeah. So all I'm trying to say is, it doesn't take a lot of time to raise your child and tell them the good things that you want to impart in their lives. Some of the lessons I have taught my own kids, and I'm not saying they are perfect, they are angels, but some of the lessons I have taught them have not taken me a lot of time. Like now, I can't wait. I'm planning to leave Kisumu because I have a date with my daughter. My daughter and I agreed we are going for Konku on Sunday because she knows I love old cars. And those are the times when we take on that one Sunday, and I tell her, I already have some things I want to tell her on that Sunday. So what I'm telling parents, kuna vitu tu munaweza fanya na mtoto wako during that time when you're going to the mosque, during that time when you're going to the church, during that time when you're taking them to school. I, for example, we don't have time. And I can tell you, you people have seen me on so many TV shows. People even sometimes are afraid to call me because they think I don't have time. I told my daughter's school, don't pick up in the morning. Drop her in the evening, but in the morning, I drop my daughter myself at least 4 times a week. Tuesday peke yake, she's dropped by the mom. Why do I do that? That morning time, that 15 minutes from home to her school gate, I get to have a conversation with my daughter. I pick a lot of what is going on in her world, and she tells me a lot. So even if I come home late, I have spent 15, 20 minutes with my daughter from home to school. Parents, it's a very deliberate decision. Aki usiseme huwezi pata 15, 20 minutes. If you look at how the cycle of your life happens, kuna 20 minutes zako na mtoto mahali every day. Make the best use of them. You can't lack. Even if, because for me in a week, I don't even see my daughter combined for 10 hours. If I combine how much time we talk in an hour, because my son is in a boarding school. But it's how you make quality out of the little time that is available.
Okay, so quality time, like quality time to spend with your children, very, very important. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Washake was asking a very important question here. I don't want us to lose it. And even before actually we go to Washake's question, there was some
same caller though.
Yeah, there were some comments on YouTube. Hosilando was saying, you must offer young people work, rehabilitation, and purpose. However, the brewers add chemicals and substances that create alcohol dependency and addiction. And I can see Pan-African Kenyan is saying he's watching from Nairobi. So karibu sana Pan-African Kenya. And then now Washeke was asking a very important question here. Does anyone know what percentage of the diaspora remittances goes to basic needs instead of economic development? Actually, these are numbers that
Did they break it down?
Yes, it's broken down by something called the Central Bank of Kenya survey. It's an estimate, but it's a very... It seems like it's a fairly accurate estimate of what's happening just by anecdotally knowing what people send money for. And I remember, I don't have those numbers up with me right now, but I remember close to 26 to 30% goes to real estate, which is very, very sad. And I will say why. 26 to 30%, which is quite a big chunk, goes to real estate.
How is that broken down?
About 26% of the amount that's being...
it's real estate, but what exactly is that breakdown of real estate? Is it
so
for mortgages?
So the real estate, the one that's commercial, out of that 26%, maybe only 4 to 6% is commercial. The rest of it, idle assets. Idle assets, and I'll keep talking about those. I know people are never happy about me talking about them.
Watu wa uko...
Yes.
Sisi watu wa Nyanza ambazo tuko na zile nyumba zetu.
Yes.
Zile mnakuja kutukulia December.
So no, 26% goes towards real estate, and then a total of up to 40%. So 26 already real estate, and then another 13-14%. So a total of 40%, it's real estate and basic needs.
Okay.
So a whole 40%, we send about 5 billion every year, approximately. So 40% of 5 billion is about 2 billion. So 2 billion goes to real estate and basic needs. which
So you've answered the Washeka's question, right?
yeah,
Because basically,
and these
right?
are estimates. There's something called the CBK survey. You can go check it out online. It has more accurate estimates, and the reason why this is very disastrous. Like as diasporans, we also have to be a bit methodical in how we invest. 1 million shillings invested in a proper in entrepreneurship or in any money generating activity will generate about 3 jobs, permanent jobs. 1 million, only 1 million shillings. 1 million, mtu anaona labda ni pesa kidogo, but that can generate 3 permanent jobs. Whether nalipa mtu, like, because your expenses plus whoever you're employing, let's say you're paying them 30K. So maybe 100K of that 1 million is going towards, and this is just now, we're talking permanent jobs in as far as whether ni kinyozi umefungua or whatever kind of business. But then, when you go build an idle asset with your 1 million, it doesn't, as in when you look at the community, it may benefit a caretaker and for a couple of years when it's being built, and that's it. So easy pesa zinaenda towards subsistence, hospital bills, school fees. All this money, if the government was doing what they're supposed to do, for example, like what Fanya Mambo was saying, capitation, if everything was amalgamated and everyone was going to school for free, then that frees up a lot of money that the diaspora is sending, and that money can go towards
Can be rechanneled.
yeah, it can be rechanneled towards an activity that will employ people, that will grow the economy. And I think that's the direction that people need to think, especially out here in the diaspora. If we're able to cut off the part for medical care and schools, we may be in a very good place to do other things. Yeah, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Now, before we lose this, and as we wrap up, because we know that time Kenya pia imesonga sana, and you've been up very late.
Akule samaki.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you've talked about the funding of education, and I think you've explained it. Very well. I think we want to come to your candidacy, and we've seen leaders come before with big promises like KJ, only for disappointments to follow. And this is so many people. These are people even who are doing very good work in their communities, but something tends to happen when people go in there. And it's to a very good number of people who go in there. Yes, there are people who do a good job, but then there's always that fear that something is going to happen to Fanya Mambo, and we're going to see a different version of KJ when he goes there. Fanya Mambo, how can you assure people who are looking up to you, and they're thinking of voting for you, but then they're asking themselves the same question? We had so many other people who came with similar promises, but once they got in there, things changed.
Thank you. First and foremost, to anybody who is thinking of voting for me, thank you, and God bless you, because you're thinking of doing the right thing. But secondly, you see, you cannot judge your new spouse on the sins of your ex. And I say, hey, my ex hurt me, so you are just about to hurt me like my ex. You will never enjoy that relationship, because now you are judging your new person. You're punishing the new person you want to start a relationship with based on the mistakes of your ex. So, my ex used to do, my ex has done. What makes you different from my ex? You have to stop seeing your ex in your potential boyfriend or your potential spouse or your potential girlfriend. Otherwise, you will not love them enough. You will not trust them. If your ex was a cheat who used to sleep with anything that came by them, you'll be saying, they are nice when they are dating me, But when I start a serious relationship with them, they start cheating on me. Your new spouse is your new spouse. Please don't punish them on the sins of your old spouse. Now, number 2, today I have been tried. Kenyans, I can give you files of cases I have taken to court on my own account with my own money, fighting for you. Let me tell you, mpaka nimebaki na madeni za mawakili zenye nalipanga pole pole because I filed public interest litigation cases for you. Number 2, sahi mahali nimefika, Kenya Kwanza administration is buying people, if you don't know. Oh, you've seen musicians. You've seen teachers at State House. How much do you think Fanya Mambo is worth? How much do you really think I have been offered to stop this fight and go to the other side and start flashing 2-finger salute? Let me tell you, in all honesty, right now, imagine sina kura za Wakenya. Yani, if there was ever a good time for me to sell my soul, it's not when I'm voted, it's now. Because right now, you can imagine if I walked to State House, naweza toka na check inatoshana aje. Na nimeitwa si mara moja ama mbili in very many different places that I won't mention. And I have said I am not going. The prize for me is good governance. And you know, then why should I wait for you to vote for me and then betray you when I have your mandate? Whereas I know right now, without your vote, I can easily walk into a place, come out with a new Prado because that was one of the things on offer, plus a lot of good money. So if I have not sold my soul now, I am not going to sell my soul when you people vote for me.
So
I have proven, yeah.
So has this been offered to you? Have political parties offered to buy you?
Not once, not twice.
Okay.
Not once, not twice. And the offers are good, by the way, and very tempting.
So
and
how does that process work? Because we hear about this, and I think people do not quite understand. How does it work? Do they like look around and see maybe someone who's getting popular and then they come with an offer for you? Then what do you have to give them in return once they buy you?
You saw musicians who found their way to the deputy president's house. Some of them had very huge followings on YouTube. And it was expected that once they go there and come up with a paycheck, they will start singing in favor of the state and saying things in favor of the state. You saw what happened to those musicians. Some of them have never recovered from the shock of what Kenyans did to them, including chasing them away from stage performances. So you have to choose your struggle. And my struggle for me has been to fight against bad governance and bad administration and bad leadership, and to bring in place alternative leadership. Mimi nilisema si lazima nikuwe tajiri. Mimi nilisema si lazima nikufe na pesa. Honestly, if what is going to make me rich is UDA money, wacha tu nikae vile niko. I think we owe a solemn duty to Kenyans. You know, allow me to say this, my friend.
Please.
I went to a hospital, iko hapa Nairobi. Sahi wameintroduce kitu ya caps parking. And I challenge Kenyans to go there. Ukienda hapo, ukiingia, it's a public hospital, ukikaa for like 1 hour, ukitoka utalipishwa 100 bob. The problem is not 100 bob. The problem is, venye nililipa ilinipatia jina ya Msomali. Na ingekuwa Mumeru ningesema ni Meru, ingekuwa Mkamba ningesema ni Mkamba, ingekuwa Mkisii, ingekuwa Mkikuyu ningesema ni Mkikuyu. What it did is I went to a public hospital, drove through, hata nitawaambia Mbagathi District Hospital, drove through that, and when you pay, it gives you the name of an individual. What does this tell you? They are doing that hospital as an experiment because they've calculated the total number of hospitals we have in Kenya, and they want to introduce a parking system. Wewe ni mgonjwa, unalipikishwa parking juu umekuja kungojea kumuona mgonjwa. Now, they have multiplied by the number of hospitals, and they're in the thousands, the dispensaries, the level 4s, and everything. Somebody has discovered that in a day, I can collect 20, 30 million from parking just for charging people who are sick. Now, some of those people are the people to whom I would then go and receive that sick money so that I can start singing two-term. And that's why I tell people, be careful of where you get your money from. Sio kila pesa unapewa unachukua. Let us just say no. Money is not everything. Surely, money is not everything. These people are too greedy. They are taking too much. And it's gotten to a point where some of us feel, really, mimi nikule pesa ya mgonjwa, wacha ikae tu. Sio lazima. Sio lazima. And finally, let me say this, because it's on that question of integrity. You people have seen a lot of me on TV. There was a time I would do up to 10 media shows in a week. Yani ikifika Tuesday nishagonga 5. I used to wake up Monday, I have 3 shows. Tuesday standard, I had 3 shows. By the time I was reaching Friday, I had done, at least I would have done 10. There's a week I did 13. I felt like my head was spinning like this. To do 13 shows, KTN wako Mombasa Road, Alpha House wako Kitusuru, TV47 wako Kiambu Road. Unazunguka in a week unajipata umeweka 10,000 to 15,000 fuel in your tank in a week. I used to have a budget of about 40 to 50,000 every month for fuel. And you know what? I am putting my money in my tank to go and speak for you and then risk. Siku moja nilitoka K24 tukiwa na Professor Ogora, Subaru zilikuwa hapo usiku zimetungoja saa 4 ya usiku. So not only have I spent my money in this fight and risked my life, I have gotten to a point where I would almost lose my life fighting for these Kenyans. And at the time when I'm struggling to look for 50,000 to fuel my car for the month, there is an offer from people, a lot of millions of money, niache kusumbuka, niache kuendesha gari mzee, nianze kuimba two-term, niwa betray, and I have said no. Right now, I've had to do 2 things. One is to come up with a pay bill and become omba-omba, which would have ruined my reputation, or to reduce my TV shows. They have reduced to about 3 or 4 in a week, much to the disappointment of my fans who keep going to some pages. Like I saw some comments on Ninoro, some comments on Alpha House, wanasema bring back Fanya Mambo. Some comments on Spice FM, they are saying, why are you no longer bringing Fanya Mambo to your shows? And they call me and they show me the comments and they tell me, these people are demanding for you. But I tell them, look here.
Wakulipe.
Mi sina do. Yeah?
Wakulipe.
Naambia sina do ya kwenda hapo. I'll tell you why they wouldn't pay me. Now, I want you to look at it this way. Now, a station like, say, for example, Inoro is a good station and many others. All those stations have got some idle, elected members of parliament who are not popular, who have been looking for a chance to be on TV. So without mentioning a station, those members of parliament usually come with some 10, 20,000 and they tell the producer, if you ever get a slot, call me and here is the money. So to some of these producers, if they don't have Fanya Mambo on show, they have some 10, 20,000 from some MP who is no longer remembered in Kenya, and so they can make money out of it. They love me because my clips will be cut, they will bring them a lot of traffic. But at the same time, when I'm not bringing them a lot of traffic, there's someone bringing in a check, some little money here and there. You know how this game goes on in our Kenyan studio. So those MPs who have got money, but they are looking for clout, are always paying for those slots. So for this guy is like, do I pay Fanya Mambo to come on my show? Or do I just sit here and receive money from some crazy MP, some lazy senator, from some governor? So they choose to receive money. So not having me there for them is still an advantage. They would make money by not having me there. But by having me there, it's an oxymoron. By having me there, they would get the views. So I have sacrificed for my country, but I've also gotten to the point where I've said, let us be disciplined. Let us not be seen to make this look like a cash cow that I'm now presenting to Kenyans and saying, nitumieni mafuta, nataka kununua maspika. You guys have had those funny stories. So I have cut down on my media appearances. And why I have done it is because I want to retain my integrity as a person and the dignity of what I do so that it is not seen as a cash cow. If I get support, I usually say thanks be to God. If I don't, the reason I was doing it was not money in the first place. So thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, asante sana, very good explanation.
Ali,
Yeah.
niaje na kuona ukiswitch parties uinge pale Fanya Mambo yuko
No,
akisema yeye ni independent.
you see, okay, my big concern
Yes.
is still the power that these political parties have, which is why I Mika's idea of the good people just also going in and taking over all these parties because they are getting
Break
so
it up
much
from
money.
inside.
They are getting so much money.
Correct.
Yeah. So you see, unaona kama hiyo sasa unasumbuka Fanya Mambo unasema you're spending 50K a month. There's someone within these
Willing
parties
to give you 1 million a month.
they have money. They get money every year, and there's no proper transparency in how this money is actually being spent. Which is why, in as much as yes, we'll be happy to get a Fanya Mambo here and a Fanya Mambo elsewhere, and a couple of Fanya Mambos here and there, but with the money that these political parties have, because logistics for campaigns, like you have to move from point A to point B, you have to print posters, you have to do certain things.
It's painful.
We can't run away from the fact that money is needed to mount a campaign, especially like for a parliamentary seat. So I'm still very concerned. I like the independence. Like for the first time, I think for me personally, since the Gen Z revolt, it rattled me in such a way that it gave me more clarity of thought and allowed me to also, think not necessarily in terms of this side versus that side, but think just independently and think straight. But Fanya Mambo, I'll be honest, I am still concerned because so far, I'm not seeing a political strategy by the third force or whatever we are going to call it. I can hear, a lot of what's being said. There's a lot of buzz on social media. There's also a lot of buzz on mainstream media. And especially approaching these by-elections, and I try to keep a pulse of what's happening. I'm very concerned that I'm still not seeing that Fanya Mambo.
In other words, what Ali's concern is this. It's not a matter of if. It's just a matter of when.
Ali, is the third force in this case the Gen Zs, or who is the third force?
No, to me it's any
you're saying anything
people
outside the regular.
anything outside the status quo, because the status quo
got it.
They went, they were against each other, then they went and got together. They went and got in bed together, after young Kenyans had been killed. And I think because of the way they've been baked over so many years, it's very difficult for them to change. They are one-trick ponies. They know how to do things in one way.
So if Fanya Mambo is saying he's with DCP, Fanya Mambo said he's with DCP. So does DCP fall within or outside?
No, DCP.
According to you,
DCP is deeply within.
Okay.
DCP is deeply within.
Okay, so there's no change. It's just that either you're in or
so for me personally, I do not see a big difference between Wamunyoro and Ruto. In fact, in my view, and some people are gonna maybe look at me in a bad way or start disliking me. But maybe those are people who already dislike me. To me, Wamunyoro is another more potent version of Ruto. He's a Ruto wannabe in all ways you can think of. And this is where I tell people, because when he came to the US, I got worried because I started seeing people getting excited, and this is where I was telling people, we've been given Gen Zs gave us a God-given gap to think straight and stop cheerleading these people who come to us with all these same promises, with all these, but I was very worried with what I saw here in the diaspora, and I'm also still very worried with what I'm seeing, in the sense that
I see that. I
Yeah.
think if I can share the sentiment. And by the way, Mika has been quiet like for a minute. Mika, bado uko kadhe?
He's in Wamunyoro.
He's on Wamunyoro.
Yes.
No. I think the issue here is there's always that possibility of a change of guard. And again, if you listen to News Gang, and they talked about there not being any credibility with parties because parties are sort of vessels used to get parties are vessels used to get whatever they want, then after that they're dislodged. Unlike like over here you have Republican, Democrats. If you go to Europe, their parties are used. I mean, they may form coalitions, but they don't stray away from what their core objective is. But in Kenya, and I think you mentioned this, we were having a discussion at some point, when you're talking about, and I think you may have sprinkled, you may have said something where Baba might run on ODM. Which means that
Baba. Ruto.
No, I mean Ruto will run on ODM.
Ruto might run on
means
ODM.
that ODM UDA is done. It's a wrap. Like Torotich, UDA is a wrap.
Yeah, just like TNA folded and URP folded, and they created Jubilee.
Yes.
Yeah.
So and that has always been the modus operandi of political parties. Unlike ODM has been the only consistent.
It's been the only consistent one over
KANU
since 2005.
And KANU. In as much as but it's still there. Everyone else has come and gone.
Yeah. But maybe like before you let Fanya Mambo go, this is the one thing maybe
because we don't want him to take like so many shots of coffee before
but like maybe tell me like what it is that I'm not seeing.
He wraps up.
Especially like towards these by-elections, I was listening to there's a constituency in Embu. I can't remember the name of the constituency, whereby they were talking about the candidates. One of them is a candidate for JB Muturi. Another one is a UDA. It's Mbere, I think.
I think it's Mbere.
Another one is a UDA candidate, and I'm like, where is now the alternative force? And it's the same, to e-constituency in Guinea Western. I think it was Malava or something. It's all this DAPK, they're presenting their candidate, and I'm like, why am I not hearing, because it has to move from street action to now political strategy. And maybe Fanya Mambo, tell me what it is that I'm not seeing, because especially coming towards this by-election, I just don't see what I thought I would be seeing as we approach towards 2027. Fanya Mambo.
I think the first thing is the position of the person who is Rigiji Wamunyoro. If there's anybody who ever fought Rigiji in this country, it's me. In fact, I fought him in a way that people never thought we would ever exist in one room together. Because I hated the way the Ruto administration was running. And so everybody who was supporting this administration, to me, appeared like an enemy of the public. So I have always compared Rigiji to a situation where you have an elephant invading your farm. And then you come into the house, the elephant is coming closer to the house. And you have a knife, and you have a fork, and you have a djembe, and you have a panga, and then you have a shotgun. I mean, what will you pick as the weapon that you will use to kill this elephant or to deal with this elephant? Common sense dictates that you immediately pick up the shotgun. You cannot go into a fight with an elephant with a knife if you have a shotgun in the house. To me, nobody fights Ruto better than Rigiji. He's the biggest and strongest weapon that we have against William Ruto. I would be foolish to walk out of the house with a small knife and the elephant is coming closer to me, yet we have a shotgun in the room. We are working with Rigiji because he's the most potent weapon that we have against William Ruto. And he puts up a big fight. Mi husema, sisi tunakujanga na two shots, unafanya ni kuinject. Chua, injection. It's like pistol bullets. But Rigiji akona kitu inaitwa ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles. Anachilianga chua, unasikia boom, kunalipuka huko mbele. So I work with him because he's the strongest weapon right now we have against William Ruto. If we ever get a strong one, believe you me, I'll be the first one to work with that. Because for me, the constant is William Ruto, and my eyes are firmly fixed on making sure we remove that.
No.
What is happening in Bere North is very simple. I have told you it's about the candidates on the ground, and unfortunately, the voter, the electorate on the ground. And the electorate are the ones who are saying, go and we are going to vote for you if you come in this particular manner. And because these people they want to be elected and they don't have a choice, they are just following what the voters are telling them. But we have a long way to go. Mimi naomba nishikiliwe na like-minded people. Tuendelee, because I've seen what's happening in Kisumu. Luckily, I'm speaking to you nikiwa ground, as in literally, we've just done a round of meet the people and a round of town hall. And what we need now is like-minded people to support us so that we do the next town hall and the next town hall, and then, because TV has played its part. Now we need to move to the people and do that thing, meet them and change the way they think. And so that by the time tunafika 2027, we have lit the fire that is needed to take us to the where we would desire to be.
Now, Fanya Mambo, you know what my worry is about Historia Rigiji? And yes, I know he has a ballistic missile, and I understand that. But you know what my worry is I'm kind of seeing history repeating itself. When Mount Kenya especially was tired of Uhuru, Ruto became the ballistic missile. And it was Ruto, UDA, and he was going to be the savior. And then he came to power. Then we're in the situation we are in. So, maybe this is a discussion maybe that we should have another day. But I need someone to convince me that we are not going to be carving ourselves into a similar situation to what we had, like with Uhuru, when Mount Kenya was tired of him and they decided Ruto, despite, like his history and his background and all the crazy things he'd done, people decided that he had the best weapon. And that's the same for Amunyoro, because I think we sometimes tend to look at the political action and the promises, but we have a tendency also not to look back and see and try to find out, like, what is it that this person has been doing in the past that guarantees us that we are going to be safe with him if we move forward. I know it's very dangerous going for a second term with Ruto. And the same way, I think people felt that it was dangerous going with Uhuru's candidate. So this is a worry I have, and maybe we can leave it. We can leave that pending there, because I think that's something that I sleep and worry about every day as I see people lining up, because people are also lining up on the other side. Me, I was, like a very staunch ODM guy, and people know. And a lot of the ODM people, I haven't watched the Kisumu, like Jagero's episode, and I'm gonna go watch it. But there's a lot of people who had really disliked Ruto, and now they're starting to change their mind. And they're telling the people on the other side, si nyinyi ndo mulimpigia Ruto kura. Sasa sisi tukimsupport muachane na sisi. So those are the games that are being played, and I am just a tad bit worried. But it's good to wait and see what's going to happen. There was one comment here before I let you go again. I know, like I said, we're going to let you go. But Washeke was asking, is in dealing with alcohol, with the alcohol consumer addressing the symptom instead of the root cause. I believe a lot of young people are driven to alcohol by hopelessness. We have bequeathed them unemployment and corruption. Briefly, address Washeke.
Washeke, I think I want to go back to the same thing. Have you seen very many girls who say, I am poor, but I will not sell myself as a prostitute on the streets because I am poor. Afadhali nifulie watu nguo, ama nikalime shamba za watu, ama nikuwe house girl kwa nyumba ya mtu, but I will not sell my body as a woman just because I am poor. It's the same thing with young people, young men. I am poor. Does drinking make me richer? Does it make me any better? I would rather go and do mjengo. I would rather go and till the farm. I would rather go and work somewhere in Dubai, but I am not going to fall into the trap of, doing the wrong thing just because I am poor. So being unemployed and having financial constraints is not an excuse for bad manners. Because if we allow it to be an excuse for bad manners, then every other young girl can decide to sell her body and say, I am selling myself because I am poor. I mean, God is faithful and he will not tempt you beyond your capacity to take. And if you trust him, you don't have to sell yourself as a woman because you are poor. It's the same thing with young men. If you get to the point where you hit the limit, you don't have to go and drink alcohol just because you are unemployed and jobless. There are so many unemployed young people who are not drinking themselves silly just because they are unemployed. Yes, those are factors that predispose people to it, but when you raise people well, when you talk to them well, they make a conscious decision to do the right thing.
Hey, Fanya Mambo, I mean, I don't know, and yes, maybe we see this differently, but I think sometimes the way you raise a child is important, but then I think there's also certain elements of poverty that drive people to do certain things that it's just very difficult to understand. It makes you more susceptible. Poverty makes you more susceptible to certain things.
Yeah.
And
that's why we are offering ourselves to do everything we can. Let me tell you, the first bullet injection is committee iliformiwa could discuss history of bursaries. If that thing was to go right and we stopped charging people school fees, we would unlock so much money that was leaving poor families to go to schools. And that money would be left in those families and it would make a difference. Before we even create any new job, if a family is paying 40,000, 50,000 per year to schools, if we can just find a way to immediately lock that money back into the families, we would reduce the poverty index in a very great way. So yes, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I am not blind or deaf to it. But again, we are praying to God that in as much as we've done the much we've done outside power, that we get an opportunity to serve so that we can do much more from within parliament than we can do from outside.
Yeah, and then hapa Grizzly pia alikuwa anauliza Fanya Mambo donations anaweza zipataje. So if maybe you could send us a number that we could post. Grizzly is asking. Grizzly Proxy donations anaweza pataje. So I don't know.
Grizzly, just write my number because now my number has become a public number. Plus 254 722 501 906.
Okay.
So it's 0722 501 906.
Okay.
And thank you for asking, and God bless you in advance.
Yeah.
We promise whatever we get from you, we put it to good use.
Yeah.
But we will not come disturbing you and telling you must send us money. We just trust God that somehow we are able to go through this by His grace.
Okay.
Now, before there's umeniza comments Gerald Oliech.
Gerald is disagreeing, Gerald anasema, I agree with Ali, we need new leadership, fresh kabisa, we need new mistakes and promises, and guys still won't listen. And then Gerald says, what political strategy is in Kenya other than tribal and propagandism? Gerald's father says, Fanya Mambo, I disagree with your strategy of Rigiji. Remember, he's only loud because he was ousted. If he gets back to power, he will be retaliatory. And then Gerald father says, guys, I think we need to start aligning with the thought that that two-term is happening. Let's put up a fight that is focused into the further future. So that's Gerald's thinking. Now, Fanya Mambo, who's your ideal candidate? You know, like it's August. Election itakuwa August 11th, 2027. Who would be your dream person? Like if they won, unajua sasa Kenya tuko pali pazuri. Just give me one or two names.
That's a very hard question to answer right now because it would put me in a lot of jeopardy. All I can say is this. There is a 95.55555% that by removing William Ruto, we can take care of very many problems. I don't think there exists on this planet a human being who could get worse than William Ruto. So all those other people you see there, Martha Karua, Eugene Wamalwa, Kalonzo Musyoka, would all make a better person than William Ruto. And so for us, we are just saying, we are first trying to treat a malady. This is a complete, total disaster. Have you ever got to a place where you're now talking about loss mitigation? The idea of loss is there, but how do you mitigate the loss? So for me, any of those other candidates, before God and man, would still make less of a disaster than William Ruto. So for us, first 2027 is to get rid of this malady and then keep now getting better and better. And what we have is a catastrophe. So we're just trying to first, let's say, you know what, any of these other people we get are better human beings. They are more humane. They won't do all sorts of those other bad things. So let's first get rid of this huge disaster and catastrophe as we move into trying to get the correct candidate, so to speak. But most importantly, and I tell young people wherever we are and wherever we go, let us take over parliament. 290 seats, put in the right people. It will be better that way.
Okay, asante sana Fanya Mambo. It was really an amazing episode. Unomai kwa henga wanasemaje?
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo kina budi kwa na mwisho, meli imetia nanga. We're about to wrap this puppy up. Make Arch? Michael?
Not here. So,
Cecil.
Thank you, Fanya Mambo. I hope you ate enough samaki and you have enjoyed. Kwanda, I saw another place over there. I don't know what that place is called. It's you can get
samaki.
Apana, kuna ka restaurant hata wako na manets over the lake na kapilo. You lounge na kuna chakula kanakuletewa.
Ala?
Yes. It's right at the water. I don't know I forget what that place is called.
Maybe that's where he is.
Wapi Kisumu?
Hey, in Odumo.
Okay.
I keep seeing it like on everybody's FB and blah blah blah. Mimi mwenyewe sijawahi enda, but I think it's somewhere around Dunga Hills Camp, hiyo area. So, but anyway, ndakuja kuenda. But I'm glad that you're actually enjoying and you've gone on the ground and you're telling us something that I think it's almost like you and Ali were in sync about ease of it to the ground, because he's been singing some of these songs of division. Because if we are looking at it from the bigger scope of all the stations that are sitting outside Mashenani, wanakwambia ikiwa ni hii area, ini area ya ODM. Ukiwa hii area, ini area ya wasewa, sijui wapi, ini area. But it seems on the ground at this point, nobody cares anymore. It's issue-based, who's helping me, and at the end of the day, we want change. And if change means we go a different way, ama tunafeel you've not represented us, then guess what? We are not a shoe-in vote like you thought. So you're going to have to work for this. And it sounds like that's what you told us. At least that's what it sounds like is happening Mashenani on the ground. Because everybody is affected. So we thank you also for making time, staying up, being awake at this time, and we hope that this is the first of many engagements with you. 2027 bado iko mbali, And by the way, unajua wase wa diaspora pia sisi vote. So the only thing is that we are voting for president. Maybe, I don't know, Ali, you think this time they'll give us, we vote
No
MP?
chance.
No, that doesn't even make sense. Like
I'm
what
just
would make
saying,
sense?
will they give us to vote MP? Now Lisa too.
No, it would not make sense to vote for an MP because now are we gonna be having 290 ballot papers, in each polling station?
No, but we might be voting for a diaspora MP.
Yeah, so maybe if they allow us to have a diaspora representative, that has never been
And I vote Ali Badawi.
yeah, it has never been an interest, like they've never wanted to have for diaspora to have their own representation. I don't know why.
It's
maybe
one person out of how many?
yeah, but
You
for
get what
some
I'm saying?
but
So-
for some reason it is something that they do not want. They would rather have us fight for their attention rather than have one of our own representative, Umosh.
So again, Fanya Mambo, thank you.
A quick one before you close.
Yes.
You said that you had a question that would be a surprise at the end of this. So maybe you forgot, and I was like,
No, it was the candidate, and you scattered it, ulikata, because
oh,
yeah, you refused to answer.
But kuna ingine inakuja, kuna ingine
No, are you changing your mind? Are you gonna answer? And the reason why, like Fanya Mambo, which I sometimes get, I'll be honest with you, because all of us who advocate for change, we are always talking about these ideals, but we are scared of giving direction. We are scared of saying, I like Okia, but I don't think he's in a good position to be able to win in 2027, but this is the kind of president I want, or I like Maraga, or whoever he is, Wanjigi, whoever he is. And I think and that's a part that I dislike about politics, because once you start moving towards that elective seat, then there are things that you can say and the other things that you cannot say. And then
maybe he can whisper it in our ears.
and then it just becomes now it becomes
reverting
now,
back to the same old
yes, and
Playbook.
that's what sometimes, like I keep asking myself, are we still gonna be in the same position
okay.
in 2027?
It's
Because
very simple.
Yeah.
And I can tell you for free. Kenya right now needs a caretaker president, sort of a landing pad, sort of someone to usher us for 5 years of sanity before we can figure out what we want. And the person who stands a chance and holds that, because there are people who, like Maraga sounds like an ideal candidate, Matiang'i sounds like an ideal candidate, but you also have to think of a candidate who could actually win.
Yes.
And the only person who ticks all those boxes for now is Kalonzo Musyoka.
Okay.
He ticks all the boxes
Okay.
for now.
I'm glad
Yeah.
you gave a name. I am glad you finally gave a name.
Ali is happy now. Oh my God.
Yes.
Unaweza rudi Nairobi West.
You
Yes.
can,
No, I'm glad you gave a name.
No, but
because,
he does.
Yeah,
He does.
because I think and I also tend, like in my own, like
I agree with you, Ali, also.
and in my own, like quasi-political analysis, I think if the united opposition, if they're gonna stay united, if they know what's good for them,
Kalonzo is the guy.
they will have to pick Kalonzo.
Kalonzo is the guy.
Because if they don't do that,
It's a wrap.
I think there will be problems moving forward.
As Gerald said, 2-term.
Yeah, and I think also Kalonzo does not have the baggage, like some of these other candidates.
No, they don't.
Some of these other winnable candidates have. Wamunyoro is even if like the court quashes his impeachment, he's a very divisive figure. Mm-hmm. He's a very divisive figure, and he can't. Remember when Kibaki became president, people forget that Kibaki wasn't that popular. People tend to forget that a lot. Before, like they settled on him as the consensus opposition candidate, he wasn't necessarily very popular. Even within Mount Kenya, he mostly used to get support from Nyeri. Yeah. So he had been a finance minister for so many years, but he did not have that political
Matiba.
argument of
What
Kina
he
Matiba.
what he did? No, what he did to Matiba.
Well, what he did to Matiba, but you know, Jaramogi can also say what
talking
Matiba
about-
did to him.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
yeah.
So it's also it's one of those things. That 92 election, was a lot. There was a lot of mixtures because there's some people who are saying Kibaki was Moi's project, and then there's some other people who are saying that Matiba was also a project to make sure that Jaramogi doesn't get into power. But anyway, that's hizo ni stories zingine.
Tutauliza Linjiru.
Yes, hizo ni stories zingine refu for another day. But I think
I'm glad he.
but I think at the end of the day, if you're looking towards 2027, it will be very important
Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka.
to be realistic, and then also remember we don't know what Ruto and Rao are planning. We do not know. The one thing we know is that
ODM is filling a candidate.
the one thing we know is that they're gonna be on the same side. Even if both of them run, they'll be running to meet in the runoff. They will go. At this point, I really don't see a divorce happening.
In other words, you don't see a different strategy.
I don't see a different strategy. You know, like it's less than 2 years. I really don't see that happening. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye anataka
Has he
kunipigia.
given us his last word? Fanya mambo.
Was I done?
Okay, aya.
Yani ali yake Mungu.
No, because you start giving stories.
Please,
Bwana,
yeah, you wait until the last minute.
Who are Ali Zanu jumped into my knee?
No, I didn't jump in. It's because you asked a question. instead of-
Harakisha so that we can give Fanya Mambo his last word.
Fanya Mambo Zanu asked
Yeah.
but I think it's Fanya Mambo we should blame.
Yeah.
But then since he's the guest, we can't do that. I'll see you guys after class. Fanya Mambo, you said you were introduced and we were told that he's a mediator, right? What's the difference between an arbitrator and a mediator? And that's something you can tell us, especially with Kenyan law. And
Aye,
Ali, there's a
almost.
reason why I'm asking. Let him tell you.
It's very easy. A mediator is a person who helps two disputing parties to find a solution to their problem. He helps them to speak to one another and to agree. An arbitrator, on the other hand, is a private judge. He makes the decision for the parties. He listens, he makes a binding decision for the parties, and it carries the day. So a mediator helps them to agree. An arbitrator decides on behalf of the parties on who is right and who is wrong.
Okay, thank you. Again, we'll talk. Hopefully, we get to talk to you at another point in time. Back to you, studio guys. Ali.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna let Fanya Mambo give his parting shot, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
I think mine is very simple. Mine is just to thank you. Thank you for the honor. 53 million Kenyans, you chose to have me on your show today. So it's very humbling, and I'm honored and I'm happy. And I thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation with Kenyans. We are all work in progress. I'm doing my best from where I am. Do your best from where you are. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I saw somebody has asked me what names usually appear. Maybe I think they want to do a send wave. It's just the name Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. And I would like to say that for me, I thank you. I really cannot thank you enough. And I will continue to do my best and leave the rest to God. Na nyinyi mkiwa pande hiyo mtushikilie. We will continue to do the town halls when and if we can. Mkiona tumenyamaza sana si kwa ubaya. We all have resource constraints, and pia we understand you people are sending money to sick people here. You have projects you're doing here, so we don't want to make you a cash cow. When and if you are able, God will bless you. Do what you can. When you are not, we will not hate you. We will not pester you. We will not come and give you pressure. We know the number of things the things on your shoulder. We know how many hour shifts you have to work. Some of you. And some of you have to do 2-3 jobs for you to make ends meet on that end. So I am a strong respecter of the sweat of other people and what they do. So we thank you, and we are looking forward to continued engagements. And where we go wrong, tell us. We are human. We also want to do the right thing, and we don't want to be ashamed. But most importantly, I guarantee every Kenyan that out there, I will not betray you. I will not betray your trust. Na mimi sitanunuliwa. I'll continue to do my best. When and if I can, I'm hoping for some windfall, some cases I had done for the judiciary. Wakinilipa, I'll go back to 10 shows a week. But for now, mukiona zimepungua sana, munione tu huruma, mu understand. Sijakataa kwa ubaya to be on the favorite places that you used to look out for me. It's just that I also have to be prudent, and I also have to carry my weight in a way that is not burdensome to other people. Thank you so much, and God bless all of you.
All right, asante sana Fanya Mambo. Thank you so much. It was an interesting episode, and we're definitely going to do this again. So hopefully we are going to get to 2027 in a better space than we are right now, because Kenya is in a very we're in a very confused place right now. And people are trying to find themselves. But I want to emphasize that people just need to have some clarity of thought and make sure we make the right choices, because we've gotten a lot of second chances. If we do not get it right at some point, they're gonna run out. Na kwa hayo machache, yeyote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile ile 1-800 mteule, na operator akishika simu mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu. Akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Njeri, Daddy loves you. Nimo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed. Thank you, Fanya Mambo. Baraka tele. Now go get some sleep. DJ Machachari Buda Boss. Togende.